We're live. Hi.
Hi,
Hello,
everybody.
everyone. Hello.
Hello.
So glad to see all of you beautiful people, all you lovely faces. It's making my day. There's Miss
Seriously.
Sarah and Bethany and
Hey, Bethany.
Thorn.
Hey.
Ooh, get some more tea. Make
Yes.
sure you're hitting that like button per Thorn. Hit the like button. Go ahead and share us if you haven't, because I don't know if you guys know this, but we like to be passed around. All right, and then we have. I'm so sorry. I'm not sorry. Hi, Rachel.
No, it was all right.
There's Chris. Hello from London. Oh my gosh, what time is it there? 6.
Oh, my goodness.
8 plus 6 is what, 14, which means that's what, 2
14. So
a.m.?
2 a.m.?
Yes, look at my international math. I'm so proud of myself
I
right
love
now.
it.
Hi, Fefe. Hi, Yolanda.
Hello. I see Killer
Lisa's
King in the
here.
house.
What? Where? Nuh-uh.
Hello.
Really?
Hi, princess.
Christine is here. Let me go find Mo. Oh my gosh, you guys, I love you guys so much. Look at all you guys showing the massive love. Lydia, and y'all loving each other. Tan's Beauty is here. Hey, boo, how are you?
Hello.
Diana's here. Kathleen. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm having so much trouble. I'm already having trouble. I'm not even
All
drunk yet.
good. It's
Glitter
all good.
Kitten, I see you. Oh my gosh. I am okay, the level of I ate too much food. Okay, that's what's happening to me. I'm having some trouble. I ate too many wings, ate a bunch of wings and a bunch of fries. That wasn't a good plan. And now I'm here, and the wine should kill it, I think. Thank you. Another lemon tree. Yes. I was so excited today. I was so excited. I got in I even Marco Poloed Emily, and I was like, I can do makeup.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
But yeah, so before we get started, I just wanted, if y'all don't know, that's Emily. Let me do my hands this way. Is that the right way? That's Emily. Her channel and all of her
Yes.
information is linked in the description box. Below
Hello.
us is the
Hello.
beautiful Alex. Her Instagram is linked in the description box. It's going to be very
Yes.
exciting because we're going to talk about trashy things. So I hope that you have a lovely drink of choice to enjoy yourself. Irene, yes, I had to do it. Um,
Yes.
so here's the thing. When somebody in the comments, it was so wonderful for somebody to say so because they added their voice to the voices of my friends who've been yelling at me for months, and they were like, maybe not stop negative self-talking yourself on your eyeshadow, and I was like, bitch, show you right. And I was like, I will quit
And
it.
I've said this to Audra, my very favorite moment in the Black Voices Roundtable on Sunday was when you tried to say you do mediocre makeup, and every creator in that roundtable was like, "Shut the front door! Like, shut up! You do amazing makeup." And I was like, "Thank you."
Yes.
All right, I'm learning, so I am working on being better about this ish, and loving myself. I love me, I just didn't love my and I like my skills. I just felt like because my skills weren't all birds and clouds and Super Mario Brothers on my freaking eyes, that maybe I was doing something wrong. I was like, oh, I can't do that. So
No.
and then I was like, oh, you don't have to be able to do that. It's okay. That's not necessarily the thing that you have to be able to do. So, hey, there he is. There he is.
Yes.
Y'all, just a quick note, if you have not been over to his channel, you need to go because his reacts are it gave me life. I was watching him react to
Yes.
Harry Styles' video, and the first thing out of his mouth is like, Harry, that outfit you're wearing is ugly.
I mainly knew of his makeup brand and makeup skills. I actually hadn't explored your channel until this week, or Josh. And that popped in my subscription box, and I was like, watch immediately. It was a delight. When you're the edibles kicked in, I was like, yes, understand that feeling.
It was like, look at them eating that watermelon. It's all sexual. I was like,
I was like, you have no idea, sir.
I know. It was just juices coming down. I was like, okay, well, this is intense. I'm drinking the wines. So we're here to talk trashy reality TV shows, and I want to kind of kick it off with like one of my favorites. And I know that maybe everybody isn't old enough for it, but Joe Millionaire was seriously one of my favorite trashy reality dating shows because the whole premise rested on that Joe was supposed to be this millionaire. They were like putting that bachelor thing on it, but really he was a construction worker, which obviously doesn't mean like he's broke, but he was not a millionaire. And all of these ladies were like vying for him. And the other reason it's my favorite is because it has the infamous slurping in the woods scene. Like they're in the woods and you hear like, and they even like legitimately put in the subtitles slurp, like. I'm never gonna forget that. They were like talking and they were like unintelligible, slurp. And I was like, what are they doing in the woods?
Oh my goodness.
Yes. And Peppy's right. It was catfish before catfish because you guys, like, and these girls are just over there just like, I want to love him. And like, I'm like, but why? Like, and it was such an exposure thing, although kind of, if you look at it now, it's sort of fucked up in the sense of like painting gold digging as wrong, because really what's wrong with gold digging? I mean, like they're honest. That's like an honest form of a relationship. They're like, listen, you have money. Yeah. I want some of it. Let's do this.
Here's the thing is most people in my life that have gotten married, either that are older or my age or younger, are like, I mean, tax breaks, benefits, health insurance. How is that not the same as gold digging?
Thank you. There's like,
you got married for the benefits. That's what a gold digger does. They get married for the money, which is a benefit.
Mm-hmm. I know that so many people say that too, where they're like, oh, you know, I lost my job and we needed benefits, so we got married. I'm like, so gold digging?
Wait, so was Joe Millionaire one of those shows that was only around for one season, or did they have multiple Joe Millionaires?
They only did it for one season, and I swear, because like once it was done, like they couldn't, I feel like they really couldn't do it again. Like that was a one and done deal because like the ladies would get hip to it, and then all like it would ruin, like all of them would be like, I wonder if, is he rich or is he not rich? Let's start asking him rich questions. Like I don't know what a rich question is. But
I don't know either.
What are rich questions?
But I do think that that like the idea of like we're all getting together to try to win the heart of a rich person, probably most women that would want to go on that show would be like, wait, is this like last season? Oh,
yeah, it just keeps happening.
I'm gonna take a sip of
cider. Yes, there's political ads on everything.
Wait, Emily, what are you drinking?
I have Austin's East Cider pineapple cider.
Ooh,
I have red wine.
I got this one. Oh, hi! I got this. Trader Joe's lets you buy like single cans of shit, so a lot of times people will look at me in the store hella crazy when they see me opening the boxes and just taking out one. I feel like such a dick. But it's like what? Like
no, it's like a perk of Trader Joe's.
Anyways, this is the Newton's Folly semi-dry cider. It looks like this. I got a tall boy. Nice. I've never had it. I thought it was gonna be. I don't know. I'm not really a fan of ciders that are super dry, but because it's semi-dry, it's actually really good. It low-key tastes like an apple soda.
Yeah, I like those too. And if it makes you feel any better, like tea. And by the way, I read that at first as I got a Joe Budden ad, and I was like, "What's Joe Budden doing?" Like, I'm so sorry. I was legit like, "What's Joe Budden doing?" Like, is he still like the only Joe Budden thing that I know? Which, like, listen, my life is interesting. Is pump, 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 pump it up. Let's blaze. Why? Because I loved that movie. What was it? With the dancing? You Got Served. That's that's a good one.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. That's it. That's all. Like, because I unfortunately was way into that movie and still am. I don't care. Fuck you.
Oh, Glitter Kitten. To go to Glitter Kitten's comment, another thing that you could do at Trader Joe's, like pre-Miss Rona, is if something was like sampleable, like crackers or cookies or something, you could actually ask a Trader Joe's employee, like when they were still doing the sample tables and stuff, you could have them open it for you and you could sample it before you bought it.
You can also return everything from Trader Joe's. If you try something and you don't like it, you can return an open box of something. So
that whole hack of like asking them to open it for you before you buy it saved me from buying. I remember a long time ago they had like a box of crackers that were supposed to taste like tomato soup. And it's like, oh, that sounds kind of cool. Tomato soup crackers. Why were they the nastiest fucking crackers I've ever had in my life?
Emily, I'm so
crashing cat. Sometimes Veronica doesn't give a damn about me and is just like, whatever. And then sometimes she has officially lodged all of her cat hair into my lip gloss. Between the wig and the cat hair, I'm just like, as I said to you before, Audra, itchy all over. See,
Alex, I'm used to I'm so used to being able to buy like singles like that in Texas because it's Texas. So like, and they also offer at most of the grocery stores the ability for you to build your own like 6-packs. So I'm just
same
used
here in New York.
They just like, I mean, it's Texas. This is a place where like Saturday you will see people buying like all of the alcohol just because we can't go on Sunday. Like that's. You'll like look at people and you're like, what is this for? Like, where are you going? You have like 17 handles. What is happening with your Saturday?
That brings back memories from North Carolina where it's just like, oh shit, it's Saturday. That means tomorrow's Sunday. Buy all the liquor.
Well, it's because like you can buy beer in the grocery store, but you cannot buy liquor at all. Like all the liquor stores just shut down. So it's just weird.
And now we have period over here.
Oh my gosh, you were getting like a cat attack. I don't know, Mo. I just only know about Texas. Because this is where I live. I was considering New York at one point in time, but now I don't have to. I was like,
I never bought enough alcohol in my life to know if that was a thing here in California.
I'm sure it will be. I loved buying booze in California. Oh my God. It was my favorite thing in the entire world for the longest time. Because it was like they served booze until the bar closed, 2 a.m. You know? Texas doesn't do that. They shut down. It's 8 o'clock almost every night. And then like 9 on Saturday. Like they're like, oh, we're going to be extra. What? Yeah, it's weird. It's because of blue laws. We have blue laws here that are based on religion. So because of religious blue laws, they're there. So, excuse me. I'm sorry. I just had I had a frog in my throat. I was going to say something else. Then
I'm glad that you reiterated and that you said blue laws because I thought you said blue balls. I'm like, what?
This is a whole thing of misunderstandings. I'm like, Joe Budden ad. What is he doing? He would need an ad. And you're like, blue balls. I'm like, no, what kind of laws? Blue balls.
And then laws also kind of sounds like lives. And I was like, let's not talk about those kind of lives. And not even going to say the two words together.
Correct. Blue laws give me blue balls. That is it.
And then Killer King comes in with a good question. Did y'all watch Love is Blind or other trashy Netflix dating shows? Trashy Netflix.
I did like a whole oh my gosh. So Love is Blind is like the only one I didn't watch because something about that premise annoyed me. And plus everybody was doing lives on it. So I was like, I'm not watching it because I'm a tourist and I'm obstinate. Did any of y'all watch it?
No, I did watch, whose was it? Tiffany Ferguson. I watched her internet analysis on Love is Blind. But I didn't actually watch Love is Blind.
I watched like the first 4 episodes and then I was like, why am I still watching this bullshit?
I just wasn't a fan.
Why? Yeah, it was boring. Everyone was like generically attractive, which is not even the fucking point of being like Love is Blind. Why don't you pick some people that are not like models to generic JCPenney models.
Yeah, like I would have. Okay, listen. If you want to have a show called Love Is Blind, I want to see the Hunchback of Notre Dame. You know what I mean? Like I want to see the Hunchback. I want to see the dude from Mask. Like that. I want to see that guy. You know what I mean? Like that's what I want to. Like if you're gonna call Love Is Blind, that's what I want to see. I want to see like some weird, interesting shit to where I'm like, well, so that it really is blind.
I cannot get over that. Can we just admire that Emily might have single-handedly coined the phrase generic JCPenney model? Oh my god.
I was trying to think. I'm like, there's something else, and we're like, they're not ugly. They're also not like supermodels, but like they would get hired to do like a local JCPenney like ad or something.
Yeah, like this was always in my face.
It was just like the most boring. They had a couple of women on there that were, well, one in particular that was just like batshit, and I was like, no, I don't want to continue to watch her just torment herself and everyone. Balding hair, some fat people. If I'm gonna ask for something I like to see,
I wanted to see listen, I wanted to see the strange. Like if you're gonna call, like it has to be strange. If it's gonna be called Love Is Blind, then I need to see something that I would need to be blind to. Do you know what I mean? Like I would need, maybe like you have 3 balls, like maybe you have 3 testicles and I need to like get over your 3 testicles. Or like maybe one of your testicles is like on the side of your face. That's what Love Is Blind. Like we talk and then I see you and you got your testicle on your face. Or like a 3rd
nipple that's right here.
Yeah.
Like a 3rd nipple that's right here and like inverted.
Thank you.
It was just like the most. And I think because every single person on the internet was like,
oh my god!
You're a photographer too. That sounds like some terrible photography horror stories. Getting an application, being like, I've been in a local JCPenney ad.
I once won a pageant that I never actually was in. Like I don't know how I won this pageant, but I won it, and it's in my yearbook that I was that whatever that was, and I remember winning it, and I was like, I don't know how I won this pageant. Anyone? No? Okay. No, that's not. I haven't seen the one where they dance yet, Lemon Tree. Like I have not seen that. But I wanted to. I really wanted to see that one because I felt like that looked beautiful.
I didn't hear about that one. Are they like blind?
Is that the one that was hosted by Jenna Dewan Tatum? Where like you have 2 people who like learn choreography separately and then they meet together on the stage and then like they have to like fake having some sort of like chemistry or something like that, and then it's like a dating show at the same time.
I think that might be it, but I think it's now just Jenna Dewan, remember?
That's true.
Yeah, she's not with Mr. Tatum anymore.
Because I think she just have a baby with some other homie, she had another baby with another dude, right? Like she had a dude with some other homie, right?
I have no idea.
I randomly looked that up. Let's not talk about it anymore.
Another, I was gonna say, I was like, and then we also, I don't know that one, but there's also the one that you talked about, which was what did I just forget the name?
Too Hot to Handle.
Too Hot to Handle.
Oh my god.
That's my kind of trashy show. That's like my like sweet spot because it was like old school MTV Real World / Road Rules.
Yes.
Like trashy dating.
Yes. And like just all of the like. And I think what I liked about that too was like these people took themselves so seriously, and I was just like confused by them. Like everybody thought that one dude, what was his name? They called him Jesus, and like I think his name was like the least attractive guy out of all of the guys. He was until Bryce came, and then Bryce was the least attractive. Which I don't care. I'm going to say it. Like what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Are they going to watch and be like, "That's rude that you said I was the least attractive"? I didn't say you were ugly. Said you were the least attractive out of the bunch. So, and
I will sit here and say I think Bryce and Matt were both ugly. So you can attack me. That's fine. I don't care.
Can I just say that like I don't know if I had been living under a rock when it came to Audra's channel, but I want to say there was a live stream where she was doing a recap of Too Hot to Handle. I don't remember if it was like her second.
There was 2 of them,
or if it was her second recap or her first recap. But I think that was the time that I was introduced to the phrase choices like carrot and taco, and life changed
Yes.
forever.
I think it changed Audra's life too. Do you see how many carrots and tacos show up in chat?
Oh
you
my
didn't see the
gosh,
Sunday
you guys are
chat, but
amazing.
everyone was like carrot and tacoing it up.
Dude,
it like kills me.
Flavor of Love, I want to say, was like the original like niche trashy dating show that I remember watching.
Same.
It was old school, and I was like, I had no. I mean, I'm obviously like pretty young, so I had no idea who the hell Flavor Flav was, and in my head I was just like, wait. So you mean to tell me that this guy who had a rap career like 20 years ago, who walks around wearing clocks that are bedazzled somehow, and who is like well into his late 50s probably, is on a dating show with women who want to date him who are like maybe 21 to 25.
What? It was the most confusing. It was the most confusing thing. The most confusing.
The carrot and taco is a euphemism, Lydia. They're euphemisms for parts. They're euphemisms for parts. Here, I'll use it in a sentence. He put his carrot in her taco and made sauce happen. That was too far. I'm so sorry.
No, you're saying it like we're not all adults that don't, once you say, yes, carrot and taco mean, we're not like, oh, so is your taco your dick? Like, I think they figured it out.
But like, Alex, to your point on that show, like, so Flavor Flav always, like, the clock was iconic and still is. Like, if you see somebody wearing like a full ass clock, like, you know what they're doing. But what killed me is that he gave these girls names. Like, he called one New York. He called what was the one who the spit heard around the world? The
Pumpkin.
Pumpkin. Yes. Pumpkin.
She was on Next.
She was just like, all of those women were so trashy for the most part, but Pumpkin really won the trashy awards because there was just something about her. And like, it was a good trashy though. Like, she was like, cause she owned all of her trashiness, and I dug that. I was like, go on. Cause she wasn't one of those girls trying to be like, I'm not trash. I'm like she's like, no, I'm trashy. And we were like, okay, all right, Pumpkin.
I'm pretty sure she was on Next before she was on Flavor of Love. Cause I think I remember seeing like an old Next episode where she was like 19. And it was a really cringy intro. I wish that we could like watch it on YouTube, like have one of you share your screens, because she like did her intro and it's like already a cringy intro, and then she like faked sex noises in her intro. Look it up. It was really bad. But the fact that she like owned the trashiness, I agree. She was like iconic. The bleach blonde hair that was broken because it was overly processed, and like the thick black eyeliner and like the concealer lips. It was a look. Like, I cannot deny that it was a look.
Oh my fucking God, you said the bleach blonde hair that was broken. Like, I
cannot. That was amazing.
And like the roots were just like fucking black. Like, they were so black. And she always had like
the most iconic.
Oh my God. Yoga, we did not talk
say
about her on this channel because
no.
I only take out trash. I don't know. I'm sorry. We're not going to do that. Anyways.
I wanted to say though, Mo also made a good point earlier that she feels like, where is it? That they were all fighting over him, and I think Flavor Flav started women fighting on TV.
Yes, he did.
And yes, Chrissy Hair had its moment. Yeah.
Yes, because like all of these women were just like they would like start fighting, and like, listen, I don't care what you say, when Pumpkin hawked that, because it was like she bubbled that up in one side of her mouth for a second, and because like when they put it in slow-mo, you normally cannot see someone spit in slow-mo, okay? That thing was massive. She like loved it, and I was like, oh shit. It was so intense. I was like, oh my God, did she really? And she did. She was not, thank you, Bethany. That was not her first loogie. She did not come to play. When she was going to spit that thing at New York, she was dead ass serious, and she did. And so she, like, that show, and especially like the bedrooms and all the weird stuff. Oh God. And did anybody else get grossed out though? Like every time they had like alone time.
Yes. Oh my God.
No.
I remember there was an episode where Flava Flav, it was like a whole 5 minutes at like one of the ceremonies where he was handing out clocks to all the chicks that he wanted to keep around. And he was like giving kisses to people. And he went on like a mini rant about how he hated lip gloss and how he didn't want any of the girls to wear lip gloss because he hated the way that it felt. And I was just like, what?
And I'm over here just like, mwah.
I know. Well, I'm gonna wear lip gloss that way. Flava Flav will want to kiss me.
I thought it was grosser. Wait, just one more moment from Flava of Love. Hottie microwaving the chicken. You remember that? Where they had to make food for him. That was almost as disgusting as the spit. I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
Meat and chicken just...
Wait, wasn't that girl... Isn't there a short girl who like is now or was at one point dating Shaq? Wasn't she on there?
I don't know.
She was a little... I don't know what race she was. She was this little brownish woman. She was a little brown girl. I swear she was on there. And now she is or was with Shaq at one point in time. She was like really, really smart.
She won. I was looking up the Flavor of Love season 1. She won that season. Her nickname was Hoops. Alexander.
Thank you.
Oh my God. Yeah. She was really cute.
Yeah, she was super cute. Like she was one of those ones where it was weird because she wasn't like the rest of them. Like that sounds fucked up, but she wasn't. She was just like totally chill and like, yes, it was Hoops. So I don't know if I watched that season. I think maybe I started it at the second season when Delicious won. Oh, Delicious.
She was really cool. I'm cracking up at Olivia's comment a little while back where she said when Buck Wild, the culture vulture, lost her accent and Flav called her out.
Oh my God, I remember Buck Wild.
I forgot who she was. God. I was like, I knew she was one of the white ones, but I had no idea which one. But I'm like looking on Google and I was like, oh, that one.
I love that moment when I look something up and I'm just like, oh, that one. Like I had to look up pumpkin for a moment and then I was like, oh no, that one. The bleach. Choppy, broken hair. Oh, that one. Okay.
Like because it was broken. Her hair was like it was. I mean, it was having.
It was fried. It was angry. It was
so fried. It was just like it was so thin. Like that was.
I was like, white people a lot of us already have very thin hair. If you bleach it and flat iron it to death, you're gonna kill it. That's why I don't bleach my hair.
Right. Oh my God. I remember didn't she have like the long brown ponyed pigtail things that she would wear? I swear she wore like braids or some bullshit. Let me go.
Oh my God. I think that someone on the show like made fun of her like center part in her hair because her hair was like it was whatever. But the fact that I think that was the first time I'd ever heard the phrase trailer park part. Like they told her like I see you with your trailer park part. I was like, oh my God.
Well, because her part, I'm looking at the image, it's so wide. Like she had like so much skin exposed. But it's like you could probably throw an RV into her part.
Oh my God. Oh my God. It's too early. It's only been 29 minutes.
I'm dead.
And my thighs are already already sweating. Like, stop.
Oh, I've been sweating. Like, it was like pleasant all day. It was rainy, and then like 10 minutes before we went live, my apartment is just like, and we're a swamp, and so I'm just like sweaty from moment one.
Oh my God. Now it's like coming back to me because she was all like, oh, she was like, did the pointed and the fingers snapping.
And Thorin says it right. 2005 to 2008, which is like probably exactly when Flavor of Love was happening. All 3 seasons was really a special time for hair and makeup. Exactly.
Because y'all, like, these photos are ruining my life. I
also,
right
Buck
now.
Wild then must have changed it to like a zigzag part, which was also very iconically like the bad hair. So like zigzag parts. Oh.
Oh, for a second I was like, why are these bitches with Gwen Stefani? No, that was one of them. I'm so sorry.
I was just watching the other day Amanda Beebe, an older video of hers where she talked about age gaps when it came to dating.
Yes.
And this is the perfect example of like an age gap that seems like it should be more questionable than it was, but it was the early 2000s, so like no one got to say anything. This guy was like old enough to be some of these women's dad, and the fact that they're like dating him and like wanting to pursue a romantic relationship was just weird.
Like, look at these pictures. Like, do you see this? Like, oh my God. He's got like this giant clock. He thought he was special with the Roman numerals, didn't he?
Oh my God. Just like Flavor of Love started, I was old enough that I could tell. I was like, this is creepy, because like I looked it up. It started in 2006. I was old enough. I was 22 then. At that age, I was like, no, this is not. No, why is this a thing?
It was so gross. Like, and then Angela, you were totally right, because Rock of Love, for those of you that don't know, featured Bret Michaels. And what he did is first of all, he always wore his hair-dana. You could call it a bandana if you want, but it's a hair-dana. Because, listen, first of all, he was probably hiding the fact that he was bald up here. And that hair back there, that was not his hair. I'm sorry. That was from the hair-dana. He was wearing the hair-dana. And like it came out of the hair-dana at the back. And he was always trying to find a woman. And the whole big thing with him was that he was diabetic. And so he would have these like, yes, he's still diabetic. But like,
I did not know that.
Yeah, he's diabetic. So they would run into these like moments in the show where his like blood sugar would drop and the ladies would have to help him.
I don't remember that.
Wow. I think I kind of just decided to avoid Rock of Love. Like, I still like, what do they mean for the time? Memes. I
mean, it's probably good that you did, because newsflash for anyone who didn't watch it, it was like peak white hetero mediocrity. There was almost everyone on that show was white. I feel like there was maybe like 1 or 2 black women on that entire show, and did they make it very far? No, they didn't.
They're just like the Bachelor's women that just like, they're there just to say that like, we have black people, and then they're gone. He's like, I just didn't get to know him. Like, you didn't want to. That's fine. Just like, don't put black people on the show if that's not what he's interested in. Why? Why did you do that?
I just looked at a cast picture of Rock of Love season 1. And like, it is white mediocrity. There's 2 black women. There's a couple of women that are trying to pass as something else thanks to self-tanner, but you're orange, bitch. You're not brown. But also, then Killer King said, I would like to enter a shot at love with Tila Tequila.
Dude,
oh God. I think
I mentioned in my live stream with Emily from last week that A Shot at Love at Tila Tequila, unfortunately, was my first exposure of the idea of being bisexual, which is a terrible way to introduce the idea of being bisexual, because I was just like, wait a second, something is not adding up here.
Oh my god, that was definitely the time of Dorito does. I forget about that when it comes to dating shows. That was peak Dorito color. Like bitches were wandering around fucking orange with bleached blonde hair, looking like Oompa Loompas, and they just were
Dorito
like,
dust.
And
no. Dorito dust is perfect because all the makeup was very matte. It was all powdered down, so they would get like some terrible foundation color, put it on, powder, and it would just be like, you look like you took a bath in Cheetos.
I remember though, like their eyes, they would use concealer. And then it was like orange, but like these white circles.
The reverse panda eye. That's what it is. Wait, they're bringing back Shot at Love with guys from the Jersey Shore? What?
Aren't they too old? Wait, but you listen, picture it.
Maybe new guys from the Jersey Shore? Like,
no, there's only one Jersey Shore. Picture old Pauly D, still's got the
wannabe flat top.
But you forget Jersey Shore people mate. So like Pauly D probably has kids by now that are old enough to be on these trashy ass shows.
Did he have kids? Did he actually have children?
I don't know. I'm
know
just
if he did.
saying there's a lot more people than just the Jersey Shore cast on the Jersey Shore. That would be funny.
Oh, that's true. Who though? Remember, like, oh my god, is
that a dating Shot at Love? I hate that name.
I really do feel like the Jersey Shore was kind of a dating show, and so, like, it wasn't marketed as a dating show, but like all the dating and relationships. Listen, when I say this, everybody is going to be instantly taken aback. Run, 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 run.
Ron, you're traumatizing me.
Ron.
I can't even begin to imitate it the way the two of you just did right now.
Dude, okay, I'm gonna age myself really quick. So I remember Jersey Shore came out my freshman year of high school, and I was like, what alternate universe did I just step into? All of a sudden, you're like thrown into this world of like East Coast living that you had no idea existed. And that was around the time that shows like Jerseylicious. Does anyone remember Jerseylicious? Like where they worked in like a hair salon and they were like feuding.
Oh,
and...
yes. I'm looking up Pauly D beard. Oh, look,
they were trying to find any
thing.
reason. Jerseylicious was trying to find any reason to continue to milk the Jersey Shore, like, crap.
Everybody loves Snooki. Look, Snooki was like a whole ass train wreck all the way around. Like, she was just, but out of everybody, she was the one who got herself together the best. So, like, it doesn't even make it. She was like the one who was just like, fucking everything up.
Yeah, no, she came together, actually.
Yeah, and she like came together and did well. You know, girl, why does he look like a black man, like a Puerto Rican? He looks like Dominican. Like, no joke.
Bit, yeah.
I'm serious. Like, why does he look?
Yeah, no, the difference is remarkable.
A part of me like really hopes that they do like annual dermatology sessions to make sure they don't get melanoma from all the damn tanning that they did.
Like, I just felt like, because here's the thing. So we were all talking about this. Like, I don't like real dating shows, like real ones, like The Bachelor, because The Bachelor is like, I think that is disgusting. Because here with a trashy thing, I know it's trashy. I know nobody's actually hoping that they're going to end up with Flava Flav. Oh my God, could you imagine his breath? Anyways, like I just feel like his breath smelled like malt liquor and like spearmint gum. Anyways, like
specifically spearmint. He doesn't fuck with peppermint.
Yes, I just know. Flava Flav. But like, the drunker I get, the more that's gonna happen. So like, I don't like The Bachelor because it's so fake and they're trying to pass themselves off as like a real reality, like the real dating show. Like some of our people have gotten married. I'm like, yeah, that's great, but like the reality, like, I don't want to, if this is supposed to be about love, like true love, I don't want to live in a house with 13 other chicks making out with the same dude.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I'm not going to share stories. Like, that's so weird to me that they're like, did you guys kiss?
Yeah.
Like, it's just none of your business. Like,
I'm crying
like,
at Glitter's comment.
What?
I would be like, ask him
Would
if you
she
ever
wear
get a
the
date
clock
with him.
during sex?
Oh my God.
Can you imagine
And I
the
was
hour
like,
hand
Alex.
just like slaps you in the face?
Or the whole thing just like
Yeah.
bangs you. Like, no.
Like,
I don't know. I
style,
have
the clock is hitting your peach. Like, what time is it? I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
No, I was gonna say, of course you have the best comparison for it. I'm like, of course it would be hitting your ass. But also, I
said,
like what Alex.
while I for the
Yes.
record. I have no problem with black and white representation of Rock of Love. Leave us out of it, please. Yes.
Oh, it's kind of like how I feel about Alex. So Alex was saying, Alex the Alchemist, straight people think gay people are ruining the sanctity of marriage, then come up with shit like The Bachelor. I'm like, leave the gays and the bisexuals out of your bullshit. Like romantic dating shows. No,
yes.
we don't want it.
Because that's what it's so weird that they kept trying to tout it as like true love. And I'm just like, first of all, he didn't plan those dates. He did not plan on one of the, like, the show with it. He's not romantic, baby. He is not romantic. Like, no.
Also, Thor and Angela back to back. Thor getting spanked by the clock. Angela, well, if it vibrated when the alarm went off. This is why I love Legutta. Legutta as well.
I know. You guys are awesome. Oh my gosh. Yes, I heard about that. And then I think she tried to come up and be like, you're misinterpreting what I meant. And I'm like, how?
Explain, please. Or don't, because you could just shut up.
I know. But it's just like the straights are
not okay.
It was so, like, there were so many okay, if y'all don't remember the Swan, now this wasn't necessarily a dating show, like they were already married or whatever, but it is I should have just titled it Trashy Reality TV, because the Swan was such fuckery and destruction. So the premise of this show was that, like, these ugly ducklings, that's what they were called. These ugly ducklings would go and get all these surgeries to become a swan. Here's the thing. Everybody in there, like, a lot of these women were married, Alex. I don't know if you saw that show, but a lot of these women were married. So, like, they literally went in looking like one bitch and left looking like a whole other bitch. Can you imagine being married to somebody and they come out with, like, new Tetons, a whole new face, new nose? Like, how? What?
Like, every single person on that show got at least a dozen surgeries.
Yes.
At least.
Yes.
Because it was like it was like from head to toe.
Yes.
They would nip, they would do nose job, they would lift, they would do boob job, boob lift, lipo, like anything.
Yes.
Teething, like everything. And I was like, how the fuck?
Yeah.
How is this a TV show?
It was so, and like, because like what was upsetting is how you had to, like, turn around and try to, like,
oh God,
can you imagine just, like, the person that you're with? Because it's one thing if somebody does things over time and you get used to it, right? But they're going through, like, a whole, like, 180, and you turn around and, like, and then they come out, like, and the first time they see themselves also, by the way, is like when they're revealed to everybody else. Like, they don't even see their plastic surgery or any of that until they're revealed to everybody else. And then they're like, oh my God. And I would have just, listen, if you were my girlfriend or boyfriend at that time, I am dumping you. Not because you wanted plastic surgery, but because you, like, signed up to do this show and you're, like, doing all the, like, I already thought you were beautiful. You know what I mean? Like, I already thought you were beautiful. Well, that was so problematic because it was so upsetting. And then they had that other one where it was like Who Wants to Marry a Millionaire. Like they ran into a lot of shit because the Who Wants to Marry a Millionaire guy, it like turned out that he was like a murderer. Like I think wasn't he like a murderer or like a beater?
What?
Like he was one or two of those things. Who Wants to Marry a Millionaire? Like, oh gosh. Has he like married that chick and then like she started finding out all the dirt on him? It was rough. Yeah, the Swan, I don't know why we were watching that. So, like, let me see. I feel like there was a because like,
oh, you're right. I have heard of this. The Who Wants to Marry. Oh.
A part of me feels like the Swan would also be setting people up for failure, because if you have these regular everyday people who are getting all of these surgeries, like let's say you're getting breast implants, you have to get those implants changed out after a certain amount of time. So you're basically like prompting these people to have to fall prey to keeping up these procedures for the rest of their lives.
Yes. And on top of that, like it, because I really feel like the Swan set the precedence for Heidi Montag. Because like remember, like because they did all those surgeries in one day, and then Heidi Montag did like what 10 of them or some bullshit in like one day. It was like really rough. And she was.
Here's the thing too is that Heidi is just the person that publicly had it done, but something tells me there's probably tons of other women that felt that same pressure and because that was the thing with the Swan. It wasn't just like they had one and they healed, another they healed. It was like they had a bunch at one time and then massively healed. And yes, Megan Wants a Millionaire was the one that there was a murder.
Megan was a contestant on another dating show.
Yes. And then
I think that's why she got a
millionaire. He was like he was.
Yes, I remember that. She was like, when she was on her other show, I want to say she was on Rock of Love. And I remember this iconic line where she had like such a monotone voice, and she was like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, saggy boobs suck. And like, my mom and I watched that episode together, and from time to time, we'll just like randomly be like, saggy boobs suck. And then when she got her own spin-off, I was like, why would they give this like basketball boob long torsoed chick her own show?
Because she says shit like saggy boobs suck. I know.
No, you guys.
I also wanted to say there was.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Audra.
I was just looking at Who Wants to Marry a Millionaire, and it's like, I guess the Fox stated that Rockwell had 750,000 liquid assets and a net worth just more than $2 million. But Rockwell's ordinary-looking home, which had a discarded toilet in the backyard, did not. Why is there a discarded toilet in the backyard? What the fuck kind of millionaire? It's just like, I threw a toilet back there. I'm so rich. Like, it was just messy. Like
oh my god.
I'm so sorry. Because I was just looking for it, and that's when it came out.
I wanted to comment on, so at the same time that the Swan was mostly on TV, was also, because Bethany mentioned this earlier, body dysmorphia. The Swan and The Biggest Loser were on TV around the same time. Yes. How fucked up does that make people? Like, speaking from experience, like, I didn't necessarily feel the plastic surgery pressure, but seeing all of these people in different ways getting kind of forced, or like your own, like, hating your body so much that you would go through both extremes of processes, was like at the fucking same time on TV. That's so fucking toxic.
And The Biggest Loser is so disgusting because these people were being pushed way beyond like what any real like actual trainer would do. And it was just like, these people are like, they're breathing hard, and then they're like, do you want these snacks? I'm like, people were getting in trouble for hiding snacks. Listen, I'd have punched a bitch. If you came and took my candy, like, it's on. Like, I'd be like, I don't care if I'm trying to lose weight. I want my goddamn candy.
Yeah, no. And what Mo said, on some channels, the Swan would follow The Biggest Loser. Exactly. There was yes. It was just, Oh, Extreme Makeover. Okay, there was another show. Okay.
I'm burping, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Yeah. No, it was all so fucking toxic.
It's just like there were so many weird shows about like making women over, but I remember like the original Bad Girls Club.
Yes. I fucking loved Bad Girls Club. It was so funny. My aunt's now husband, because I would like to consider myself a pretty multifaceted person. I feel like I was always into my schoolwork. Like I never really did much. Like I wasn't a bad kid. Like I was a pretty straight-laced kid. But the other side of me was that I loved trashy reality television, and he was like so surprised. He was like, aren't you like kind of a nerd? Like, why are you watching Bad Girls Club? I was like, why not both? I can be both.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Well, like I did the same thing. Like I had this thing for, listen, this is how old I am. I am old enough to have sent a VHS audition tape to be on The Real World. Like that's how old I am.
Somebody in the chat earlier asked about if we could talk about The Real World. I fucking loved The Real World.
The Real World was like my life because first of all, it brought us, what was his name? Eric Nees. Okay. Picture this. It's the 90s. And there's Eric Nees. He has muscles and really nice hair. Like it was 90s hair. So like how nice it was is, thank you, Danica. How nice it was is negotiable. Aww. Like if you look back now, it's like, what the fuck was going on with his hair? But now, but then he had like gorgeous hair, gorgeous body. He was a model. He was able to parlay his stint on The Real World into a show, which was like MTV Sweat or something like that. Do you remember that? Like and he had a whole, The Grind, MTV's The Grind. And he had a whole workout thing on there.
Fun fact from Yolanda auditioned in person for The Real World.
What? You did?
Wow. And as Bethany said, the first 5 seasons of The Real World felt actually real.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yes. And like after that, it went bad. Because here's the thing. There just came a point where you couldn't really believe, like it just got harder for you to be like, how do you live in a town? Like, where did you live that you never saw one Black person? Where did you live that you didn't know any gay people? Like, they're just like, I've never come into contact with gay people. I'm like, that's not true. Like, and I'm like, listen, son, here's the thing.
Actually, I have been in some towns where, it exists. It exists.
Or you think it does, because in my town, I thought it did. Well, no, I didn't, because I knew he was gay. He was just pretending to be straight. That's fine. But he was still gay. Like,
but I was gonna say, but if you're closeted because you're afraid to be to be gay publicly, like that says a lot.
That's true. I was actually very annoyed by that because he was my friend. His name's Keith. And it drove me crazy because he would insist on like publicly making out with a girl. And it was just, I was like, please just make out with a dude because this is so uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable watching you try really hard to be straight. And I'm like glad that because we were in like that 99 period of time where we were starting to be like, we're bi and we do this. So we were like hitting that point. Yeah. But he just really wasn't comfortable doing that. And then like, I'm glad, like I wasn't trying to out him. I just wanted to be like, please stop making out with girls. Cause it's like,
no, you were his friend and you wanted him to be able to be his full self, but
I really did. I was like, please just be yourself, because I love you. Like you're just, I understand if you want to stay in the closet, that's fine, baby doll, but like you don't have to keep trying so hard. I know, and I love you. So like,
sometimes you have to convince your family, and by convincing your family, it means sucking face with the woman in public, so somebody else goes to your mom and is like, oh my God, I saw your son with so-and-so. Are they dating?
Yeah, but it's like once the Real World started moving into like 2002 and 2003.
Oh yeah, no.
You started kind of being like, well, how many towns are really like this still? I'm not saying that they don't exist. I'm just trying to figure out where you're coming from. But there's like Ruthie who was on there. Ruthie could not, like, they stopped inviting her back because of her alcohol problem. She's an alcoholic and would like go on, like she would rage.
I remember, I think the last season of Real World that I watched was when they went to New Orleans. And I think that was like one of the guys from that cast. His nickname was Knight, and I think he passed away like a couple years ago from a drug overdose.
Yes, Knight. I remember that because he was dating that one girl who was kind of trashy too. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. I don't remember her name.
Yeah.
And so like because a lot of people, like a few people have. I forgot too that was it Demi? Was that her name? She passed away from cancer. She fought cancer twice.
Oh, wasn't her name like DM or something?
DM,
like
that's
that?
it.
Yes,
DM.
that was really
CT. And CT, listen, y'all, CT was my big Boston gorilla boo. I wanted to just like lick the sweat off of his abs. He was so, and he got so angry, and he was like, Boston man, like, we'll fight right now. I'm like, and I was like, oh God. Listen.
I kind of forgot about CT. Now that I'm looking at his face,
I never forgot about CT. Him. I had so many one-on-one fantasies featuring CT. Okay, CT was my business. I loved CT. And here's the thing. At one point, I think I was married when CT was, and I had to I couldn't even be kind enough to my ex-husband to just not be like, ugh, every time CT showed up without a shirt. I made like an audible sound. I was like, he was, oh my God. Yes, Sarah, CT was so, even though you knew he could turn on you, I felt like the angry sex would be worth it. Like I felt like he would. And he was so big. He was so big. Oh my God! Like
he would bring the extra hot taco sauce.
Oh my God, girl! Yes. Listen, there's Brent. CT was daddy. Yes, he was. Nobody wants Johnny Bananas. Johnny Bananas tried to make him be. I'm like, nobody wants you, Johnny Bananas. We all want CT. CT was daddy. CT was everything. I was like, I am going to spend my life with CT. If he was not in the show, I was like, there's no reason to watch it then. Like,
I still remember. I was just looking up her name. I was remembering in Real World Hawaii, Kaya was she? I feel like she was like one of those chicks that was just like, oh, I'm just gonna be naked all the time. And I think that was one of those times where I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely not straight. And now that I look at pictures of her, I'm like, nah, not my type anymore. But like in the moment, I was like, okay, that's a thing.
I mean, oof. Of all the guys, like I just always held a torch for CT. It's just he was phenomenal. Everything, especially when he started doing his like jump thing where he was like jumping to get. Oh gosh, do you see like my mind is like I'm picturing like, and he was in this red shorts sometime. Oh my baby, and the thighs on that man. I'm so sorry. Let me just calm down. His thighs were like oh my, he could crack anything with those thighs. And I was, baby, I am never like, I'm going in on CT.
I was like, Audra, you are definitely more, well, I was going to say, you're definitely more straight leaning bisexual, but I'm like, I don't know your sexuality. I shut up. But I'm just like, you are really into a manly man.
Listen, CT was like, he was like the ultimate human. Like it was just something about his whole aura, and like he just was like a beast, and I was like here for it, like always. Every time the show started and they'd be like, and welcome CT, I was like, like every time.
I just thought it was so funny how like CT made the whole Real World thing like his permanent gig. He was on like every fucking spin-off, every gauntlet, every challenge, and
I loved those challenge shows.
The challenges were like the only reason I watched it. Like because I stopped watching like Real World and Road Rules. I just watched CT. Yo, look at these eyebrows. Like, no, are you serious? Look at his face. Look at him. Look at him. He had the eyebrow, like he was peopling eyebrow. Like, oh my god, he was ruining my life for a long period of time. And remember, he had the rival with Wes, who, by the way, also I kind of did like that guy because he was kind of ginger haired and like.
Oh my god, like, I forgot about him.
Yes, Wes was there. I am like, yes,
and I'm like, you can. Wes. I'm like, y'all enjoy manning out over there. I'm just going to be over in my little corner.
No, because when it came to girls on that show, because listen, what happened was I would get so like sucked in by like CT that like everybody else kind of disappeared. Like the world, you know how in like 90s movies, the hot girl would walk in and like everything would move into slow motion and the wind would blow her hair, you know? That's like what happens when CT walks in. I was like,
okay, can I just say, because I know you like Ed Sheeran, but when I see Wes, I'm like, that's what Ed Sheeran should look like.
Damn it! Ouch. Ed Sheeran,
like, to me, Ed Sheeran is like, I'm like, you're a weird little man. That's fine, but like the amount of women that are like Ed Sheeran, and I'm like, I don't know. Don't get it. I don't get it.
Listen, first of all, Ed Sheeran, I do not endorse this message. If you still want to come, like, I'm waiting, boo. But like,
oh, I'm not cock blocking you and Ed Sheeran at all. But comparatively, Wes, I'm like, I feel a little more.
I like my gingers to be kind of like.
Thorn. I'm sorry,
I don't know how that was a description.
Ed Sheeran looks like if my eldest brother melted. Yes, exactly, Lemon Tree. Yeah, okay, Rachel Joy. Ed Sheeran looks like every MRT major I went to college with. I went to an engineering college. I saw enough ridiculously horrific dorky dudes and some happen to be gingers that I can't separate that in my brain from Ed Sheeran. Sorry.
Y'all are mean.
Sorry, not sorry.
Ed Sheeran is like my business. I cannot believe you would take that from me.
Oh, you can have it. It's all yours. I'm just gonna roast you for it.
My feelings. No, you know what it was? Like the Real World didn't have. Oh, Cara Maria. That was the bitch. She was the bitch. She was bae. And all of the show, Cara Maria, she was bae because she was tough and she was fine. Cara Maria.
Yes.
Girl, I remember you with your red hair and your accent. Sorry. I gotta like behave like I'm not. Apparently, this is okay. I'm a creep. I've told y'all I'm a creep. Emily heard me being a creep this morning on Marco Polo.
We heard you being a creep just now for like 10 minutes over CT. I gotta get another beer. I'll be right back.
Okay, but like y'all. Okay, but like. Yes, as long as he doesn't talk anymore, because for some reason I don't like him when he talks. When Marky Marks, when like Mark Wahlberg talks, say hello to your moms for me. Like that's always whenever they make fun of him, like say hello to your moms for me. Everyone on their phones googling hot people. I don't understand why y'all like Ed Sheeran is so cute. Like y'all just haven't heard him talk and like be cute. You know what it is? Okay, so here's what it is. He was in a movie called Yesterday as himself, Ed Sheeran. And that's when I fell in love with his strange frog-like face and his somewhat dumpy body, which I enjoy. Like, I don't mind a man being a little soft, and I like my women to be quite thick and round. So that's how it is. So I like his little face and his little glasses and how he looks like he's always smirking at you, which could be annoying, but like it does seem like he's always smirking at you with his smile, with his glasses on, like he's like, and I'm like, you know what? I would always be telling him, like, I don't need your shit today. He'd be like, I'm just smiling at you. I'd be like, Ed. Did you say he looks like a
about Ed Sheeran in ways where you're like, he's so fucking hot, and I'm like, that's not a hot person. He's cute. He's quirky or weird.
I actually got to see Ed Sheeran in concert.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, he was really good. He was at AT&T Park where the Giants play for baseball, and I went last minute because my grandpa couldn't go, and my grandma for some reason really likes Ed Sheeran. Okay, this is a total side tangent. My grandma likes Ed Sheeran because she has a subscription to a Brazilian novela channel that's like a specialty like Brazilian novela channel, and that channel, there was a show that she was watching that used a lot of like American pop songs in their soundtracks. So, and they used a lot of Ed Sheeran songs, and they had like certain Ed Sheeran songs that would play at specific moments between specific characters. So she started like singing these random songs, and my aunt one day was like, "Do you know who that is?" And she's like, "No, but I really like the song." And so then she started realizing that it was Ed Sheeran, and she was like, "Oh, I really like Ed Sheeran." And so my aunt got my grandparents some tickets to go see him in concert, and my grandpa had to work that day, so I got to go, and I got to see him in concert, which was pretty cool.
Like, okay, I feel like Ed Sheeran always just kind of looks like he is confused as to why he is somewhere, and I like that. Like he just always looks like he's like, why am I? What? Who brought me here? Like he always looks like
I just love Pepe's summary, the glowing endorsement by Audra, his frog-like face and his slightly dumpy body. Also, Alex the Alchemist, you are not alone. My type of women and non-binary people is all of them. Yeah.
It's so funny that Thorne says that it's like a Nissan Leaf. Okay, side tangent. There's this guy who is like a manager position at my job. He's not my manager, but he's my friend's manager. And he has the most awkward way of joking where he will say something to you and he'll just play it off as fact and you never question it because it's like, why would someone lie about that? And so some people at my job drive Teslas. And so he was talking to my friend one time and he was like, yeah, da 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 da, like I drove here, like something about his Tesla. So she like never sees him come in because he commutes from really far away, so she didn't have a reason to question if he actually had a Tesla. And so I remember, okay, other side tangent, there was one time where I was driving with my mom to work, and she and I were pulled off to the side of the road, like waiting to get back on the freeway. And I see this guy who's the manager, and I see that he's like pulled off to the side of the road with some cops. And I'm like, what ended up happening to him? And then I found out later from my coworker that he got stuck behind a truck that had dumped a bunch of sand on the road, and his car got stuck up on the pile of sand. And so my friend who is like, I can't imagine him just like with his Tesla stuck on top of this pile of sand. Like, we were cracking up about it. And then she finds out months later that he lied about having a Tesla and he drives a Nissan Leaf. She's like, why would you lie about that? Like, you're literally gonna sit here and tell me that you have like a better car than you actually do? Like, you just played yourself. Like, you drive a Nissan Leaf, you don't even have a Tesla.
First of all, agree with this comment is like killing me. Like, didn't Princess Eugenie stab Ed Sheeran with a sword accidentally at a James Bond party? Like, that sentence is like just the most British thing ever. Like everything in there was just like,
oh my god,
because that never happens with like any. James Blunt is really, really dirty. He's a really dirty man. He's very dirty and he's hilariously funny. Like, James Blunt, the man, is like actually is just like. And also, I just want to say, for those of you that don't know, at the beginning of that song, where he's like, "My life is brilliant," and then he stops and like that was a mistake. He didn't do that on purpose. So maybe he is mediocre. Who knows? But I still love the song. I love the song because if you hear the unedited version, then it's fine.
Ooh, someone that I'm kind of ashamed to admit that I used to think was attractive was Liam Payne from One Direction. I used to be a Liam girl. when One Direction was like on and poppin', and then I watched Amanda Beebe's video about like where their solo careers have taken them, and like he's low-key like high-key a predator because the age gap between him and his current girlfriend is really big. He's like 26 and she's 19. Ooh. And when she called him a pugged face predator, I fucking died. She's like, you pug-face predator. I died. It was so good.
I'm gonna admit my age and my terrible taste, at least at a younger age, before I kind of understood that I could not be straight. I was an NSYNC fan and a Backstreet Boys fan. They both held equal place in my heart. In both of those groups, I stand probably the ugliest ones, but also the ones with the darkest hair. AJ and Chris. AJ, I still stand by. Chris, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking.
I was Kevin all the way, and I will continue to be Kevin. Does he look like a rodent? Yes, we've established that I like rodent-looking men, okay? If you look like a rat, I'm probably interested.
I've never been into blonde guys, like
not David Spade.
So like I never understood Nick Carter. I understood Justin Timberlake as he got older, but when he had like the ramen hair, I was like, nope.
He also did his fair amount of heat damage. He wasn't pumpkin level heat damage, but that damage after the ramen hair was probably hard to come back from.
It was
you
pretty
were not
bad.
alone. Eminem could get it. I was always just like, I always made up these scenarios in my mind of how I would meet like certain celebrities or like sports stars. Like I was going to meet Eric Lindros and like how all this was going to work out. So how it was going to work out with Eminem was that I would, in fact, be near him when he was eating or feeding his daughter. And I was going to be the one person, not saying anything. And then he was going to look over and see me and be like, oh my God, you're so fine. And I was going to be like, you spit fire, boo. And then it was going to be like, and so like that's that was the worst rap ever. But
I think one time I saw a meme that was comparing how basically like saying that Eminem and Tilda Swinton lived in this like alternate barrel of the same universe.
Oh my God, that makes so much sense because Tilda Swinton is fine. I love Tilda Swinton.
Yes, Tilda Swinton is fine, and also KG called out my Chris and his fake white dread or his white dreads. Yeah, no, I own the shame on that one. There's all shame.
But wait, so Tilda Swinton, if you guys really want to see Tilda, like, have you seen Constantine?
Tilda.
No.
If you have not seen the movie Constantine, Tilda plays Gabriel, the angel Gabriel. It's fucking. You got to see that. You like it's amazing, and it makes me happy. Did you just say you could hear crunchy noises? Listen, remember
like crunch.
Nobody thought he was fine until the Crimea River thing came out, right? Because this is so weird that you guys talked about it because I literally just saw a dude that looked like early Justin Timberlake, and I was like, what the fuck?
But I had friends like around me that thought he was the cutest one, and I was like, are you blind?
And you were like, you went with Chris.
Well, I mean, JC was cuter than Justin, in my opinion.
JC was, but I could never say his name. I was like, it's JC Shazay.
Because I was like, I know I'm weird, liking the least heartthrob of the group, but at least of all of them, I would have picked JC over Justin. Yes, Tilda is in the Adjonity gold.
I'm dying at Feffy's comment. Imagine making out with ramen hair JT.
Ramen hair.
Your fingers
ramen hair. G. Oh my God. Ramen hair denim tuxedo. Justin. Stealing him away from Brittany. Tearing off his denim jacket and denim jeans.
Yes, don't y'all remember that? So when he hit the Crimea River days, right? And he did that
Crimea River is a different story.
But he rolls out and he's like shaved all the ramen off and just like his bald dark hair, And he was like looking at us like this. You don't have to say. And he's like looking at us, and we're like, I'm looking at you, boy. We're looking at you. What don't I have to say? What don't I have to say?
Older. but I need to. Keisha just drops in with the "I want some noodles" comment.
Yes.
I might have to make some after this live is over.
Oh my gosh, I want to order. Like, oh gosh, I want to order it. Like,
does anyone remember when JC hosted America's Best Dance Crew, or was like a judge?
Yes. America's Best Dance Crew was the best show on TV.
I love that show.
Period. Up until we found out the truth.
I didn't know that show. I don't
find out which truth. There were so many truths.
The truth about what's like. Oh boy. What was his name? I try whenever I find out that you're a predator, like I have to throw your name out of like my head because it was
Randy
so
Jackson.
No.
Oh, the other judge.
Yes.
Oh my God, what was his name?
Was he there?
Oh my God.
Like
I don't remember what his name was.
I'm about to find out because his name. Oh, I guess Randy Jackson was there at one point in time.
Oh well, Randy Jackson was the producer.
Oh yeah. What was his name? His name was something. Oh, here we go. I wonder if they're going to keep.
What season? I'm looking at the Wikipedia right now.
Cutting his name out of everything, so you don't know.
Oh.
Because he there was some underage shit that went down. And so they don't like to show him, obviously. Shane Sparks.
Yes. I forgot about him.
And you know what's upsetting is I'm going to tell you all this because it's going to this is going to sound fucking horrible, and I hope that this doesn't upset anybody. I thought that he was attractive, but one of the things that I thought about him being attractive was I bet he dates 16-year-olds. I don't know why I thought there was something about the way that he acted where I thought that, and then I was like, oh well, that's unfortunate. But he was on there, and he did that, and that's how we got the Jabberwockies. And thank goodness for the Jabberwockies, because if you have a TikTok and you're not following the Jabberwockies, I don't know what to tell you.
Honestly, it felt difficult to follow up and act like the Jabberwockies. They were on another level. They were so clean. They moved as a unit. They had all their moves really tight. They were so iconic. Good.
Yes.
Fucking iconic. And they had their Vegas show.
Yes.
I wanted to go see them so bad.
Yeah. I knew of him because I really loved So You Think You Can Dance. And 12. That's the relevant age. That's
Woof.
Yeah. So that's why he disappeared. Yep. But I do love dance shows. I don't know why I love So You Think. Well, I love dance, and I love watching different genres together, and in the same space.
I just I loved it. Okay, so I am pretty much uncryable for the most part, right? Do not show me small children hitting every beat. I will lose my mind. I will cry uncontrollably. It is so unfortunate. And it's without fail. I'm like, oh, maybe this time it won't happen. And then they show them kids and they're like, and I'm like, ah. And I'm like, they're so fucking talented. And I'm just crying. I think I'm crying over the fact that I have done nothing with my life. These little
when you see a 3-year-old have more skills than you've ever had in your life, and you're like, what am I doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's just these kids. Because remember, the Jabberwocky brought their little kids. Yeah, they're amazing. And they brought that little girl, they did a final dance at some point, and they brought that little girl who you didn't know was a little girl at the time, but she helped them finish up this dance. And then she takes off the little mask, and she's this little girl. She's 5. She was 5 years old, maybe. Mm-hmm. And she was just hitting I was like, you know what? I'm so tired of these little kids and their talent and people fostering it. Because I remember when I was young, didn't nobody foster your talent.
Oh my God.
They told you needed to learn.
Speaking of America's Best Dance Crew, I remember when Quest Crew and Dietrich's won season 4. I think it was season 4. Yeah. Does anyone feel weird about the age gap between him and Bethany Moda? because they're still together and they have a 10-year age gap. She's like she's like 24 and he's 34. And they live together and they've been dating this whole time. And like Bethany Moda used to be like really big in terms of like the YouTube beauty space. She was like one of the first people I remember watching, and they're still together and they live together, and it like kind of makes me feel weird because they've been together for a while. Like she was 20 or 21 and he was 30 or 31. I don't know.
No, but so
BDB in the house.
BDB in the house. So here's the thing about age gaps. I dated somebody and there was 7 years between us. But what I am going to say is like definitely not predatory, because he was very adamant that like things not escalate. I was 21 and he was 28. And he was just very like, you're young. You don't really know what you want. You don't want to get too serious right now. Like, and it made me mad. But like to this day, I'm actually really thankful for it, because he didn't like I could have been locked down with this loser for a long time. He wasn't a loser. He's not a loser. He still isn't a loser. He's doing very well, actually. He's a photographer, but like a good photographer for skate and shit. I used to be like way into skate. I don't know if you can see that about me, but I used to be like way into skate. I used to hang out with skaters. Did some questionable stuff. Anyways,
skaters can also be pretty fucking cute. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah, like skate punk life was like you weren't really up to the best things. I mean, you weren't up to the best things. So it was just like, but I don't like the like. It's just, I think about it this way. Okay, if you drop back 10 years, if you like push you both back 10 years and it's gross for you to date at that point in time, then like stop dating now. Like if we move back 10 years old, like 10 years ago, and I'm 13 and you're 22, like this is gross. Like that's where we need to be. Like this, like when you were 22, I was 13 and that was illegal. Like we should just be able to like.
I just think the ages like probably like 13, 14 to like 27. Like there's a lot of development that happens. So if you're like Lydia said, like 18 and 28 versus 28 and 38, by the time you're 28, if you're with a 38-year-old, it's like, okay, like you may not be in like the same level, but you can be kind of comparable and have a it kind of makes sense. 18 to 28, it's like you might just be finishing high school and they're like graduated college. Yeah, that's a lot of like
real life
development.
And they're doing real life shit, and you're still trying to like party and have fun, and they're not really about that life.
It was weird. I remember that there was, I think Amanda's video was more talking about like when you have people who are when you're still looking at it relative to when you were in school, because her jumping off point was she was reading from a tweet where this chick was like talking about her proposal, like from her boyfriend. And she was like, oh, when we started dating, I was 14 and you were 17. And then it's like, oh, you're just like 14, you're usually like just out of middle school. 17, you're like close to graduating high school. And her whole point was like, what would you as a 17-year-old have in common with a 14-year-old? And then she was like, and then the tweet went on to her being like, and then I got pregnant at 16 and you were 19. And it's like, that's not really legal. Yeah. And then also just thinking about like even in college, like how a lot of like predominantly guys like who are seniors in college will prey on freshman girls that are like super impressionable, and like girls a lot of times will have this mentality of like, well, I want to date an older guy because a guy my age is not as mature as like I am mentally. And her point was like, well, guys don't really mature that much anyway, so like you're not really gaining anything by dating older.
Yeah, but I think that there's another thing is like, I think that the world still portrays women dating older men as an attractive thing. So it's like, you might not even have the perspective as a younger, like college or high school age kid feeling like, oh, I want to date them because they're more mature. It's just like, oh, that's what the cool kids do. I want to do that. I want to be with a senior. And it's like, you're like, you could be coming out of high school, like as a college freshman, you could be 17. You could be 18, you could be 19, just depending on what year you graduate, when your birthday is. If you're like 17, just turned 18, and there's a dude that's like 22, 23, even 21, like there's that's a gap. That's a pretty big gap, and it can just be weird. And I think that dating at 14, I'm the mindset of like, I don't think that you should. I'm not in the mindset of like the person you meet at 14 is who you would be with forever, but I'm also very jaded on that concept. So the thought of being with somebody at 14 and being with them at like 28, like, no, I don't want that.
Oh my goodness. Speaking of age gaps, oh my God. This chick that I went to school with years ago just announced on Instagram that she and her boyfriend are expecting a baby, which is great, but at the same time, like so she's my age. She's like 25. I think her boyfriend is like almost 40. I think that's a big gap, just me personally. But where I was going to go with that was, I remember I knew this chick in college, and she was someone who had no problem with dating people who were older than her. But I feel like it got to be a little complicated. I mean, I know that she had like struggled with abuse in the past, and I know that sometimes that psychology can play into your dating patterns as you get older.
Yeah.
And I remember we were like 18, 19, and she was like going out with this guy, and she always kind of had a tendency to like be very flirtatious with people under the guise of being super buddies and friendly and like a guy's girl. And so she constantly had people who were like basically like thinking that she was coming on to them. So she constantly had guys like confessing their love to her. It was a very weird experience as a bystander. But anyways, so there was this guy that she like had an interest in. She was also the same person who told me, I think you might have remembered in the live chat where I talked about how I had a friend who one time dated a guy whose penis was so big that it like didn't fit. Same person, same situation, same scenario that I'm talking about right now. Anyway, she was like 18 or 19, and he was like 26, 27, already had a kid. And I was just like, granted, I don't have that much like dating experience, so it's not really my place to like pass judgment on it. But you can't deny that someone who's like still technically a teenager, like just starting out, like first year of college, you can't deny that there's a power imbalance between someone who's at that stage in their life versus someone who already has a kid and is in their late 20s.
And especially
it's why I stand
women,
by the thought.
Like, oh no, I was gonna say, especially
go
for women that like when you're a young woman, you have all this like bullshit romantic comedy stuff like stuck in your head. And I just think it's so bad for you because like a lot of these older men aren't really like looking to wife you up. They're like, you are an object, you know what I mean? And you don't realize that, and they're treating you as such, and like they don't really like introduce you to friends and family and all the shit that really should be going on. And they're like, they can be condescending at times. And it's just, it's bad for your whole like self-esteem and your whole vibe, because you just kind of turn around and you realize like, why did I waste this much time? Like, even though it was only 7 years, like, he was very clear about like all the stuff, but at the same time, I was still very much like, but I love you, love me back. Like, like, and it was horrible. Like, I was just like, why didn't you just like not date me? And also, he was very hairy.
Because it's power. Because it's power. And that's what a couple people in the chat have said, where it's like, it's all about the power imbalance and the control. And I'm sorry, but if a man is like, I know this in Legal Lipstick said earlier, like, you shouldn't be dating somebody if you both, like, if you have a developed prefrontal cortex and they do not, probably shouldn't be dating. But I also think these like older men that are preying upon younger women and want to date them, it's all about power and control. And the problem is that a lot of people don't realize, a lot of women don't realize once they've left, let's say you start dating somebody at 17 and they're 25, 26,
bye, Lydia.
27.
Sorry. Bye, Lydia.
Bye.
And they're kind of honestly manipulating you through this whole relationship. You might not even realize that it's a bad relationship.
Yeah.
You're just putting all this blame on yourself. You're saying, well, I'm not the perfect person for this. I'm not the perfect, woman for this man. And I'm not ideal enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not this enough. So then let's say you're in that relationship for a couple years. You exit it and you just graduated college. You could be fucked for decades.
You are.
End up repeating this cycle.
I will definitely attest that you are, because it was bad. I had unhealthy relationships all the way up through my marriage, like, because I felt like I kept trying to like move and change to like get this older guy, because we were together. My mom even thought we were going to get married. My mom, I don't know what she does, but anyways, like my mom thought we were going to get married. We were like, because we were together off and on for 2.5 years, and we would be like together. Good night, Keisha. We would be together like off and on. And then I finally started getting to a point where I would just be like, and this is how like I got like messed up with relationships for so long, is because I got to a point where I was like, you know what, why don't you do you and I do me, and whenever we're together, then that's fine. The problem with that was that it was retaliatory. Like I was retaliating against him for not loving me the way that I wanted to be loved. And it wasn't a good thing. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with being polyamorous, because I've done that as well. That worked out quite well, actually. It was a quite nice thing, but when I did it, for the time that I did it, but it was just very difficult because I kept moving and changing and trying to be, oh my God, moving and trying to be like the same, like exactly what he wanted to be.
Earlier, Mary, have to say that.
So it kind of taught me like bad habits for relationships, of like trying to change and trying to be something for someone. And if like my ex-husband was not a good gift giver at all. Like he didn't do gifts. He wasn't very romantic. And here's the thing about that, ladies, if you have to say shit, if you are like into romance and you have to say shit like, I don't need flowers for him to think that I don't need that. Like, if he loves me, like, it's fine. He said it. Like, stop it. Let him go. Because, like, the only reason you're saying it is because he's not doing it. Like, that's why. Like, if it didn't matter to you, you wouldn't even... Night, Toya. It wouldn't, like... It would not be a thing. You wouldn't say it. Like, it's fucking true. That is... So sorry. That is my Kardashian voice. That's what I use for anything stupid that we're doing as females. Whenever we're doing something dumb as females, I use the Kardashian voice. Like when we're sitting there and we're like, no, it's like totally fine that he doesn't work and he's like working on his music career. It's great. like
I think of that voice as not even like being dumb. It's a voice of I'm diminishing myself.
Yes.
I don't need gifts. It's okay. Like it's just his love when I'm like, he doesn't even show you love. Or it's okay that I pay for everything. Like he's doing his own thing. And it's like, no, you have prioritized your life to focus on him when he is not counterbalancing that. And it's like just not worth it. Like there can be a balance in a relationship and you can like work through shit. Like if he's truly not a gift giver, he needs to learn. And the same is true for you.
Yeah.
And because
I'm like all about
that's
that shit.
Lovely thing.
Because I would legitimately say shit like, why don't you ever like get flowers? He's like, well, no, I can't get you flowers because you just talked about it. And I'm like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Like,
fucking cunt. He's a cunt.
Like,
I'm sorry. It makes me so angry that he did that to you for years.
Like, Emily just no hold back.
Angry. Yeah, because you've told me that before, and I'm like, that's like gaslighting bullshit. It's like
he would say that
every you want,
time.
So I can't.
Like every time, every single time, that would be his response. Like, well, I can't give you flowers now because you said something. And I was like, I'm pretty sure that's not how that works. Like,
I was gonna
in
go
case
back
anyone's
to.
concerned.
I was gonna go back to Feffy's comment.
This
Yeah, I was
one?
gonna go back to Feffy's comment that
Yeah.
I hate that this, like, I don't like that a lot of guys have taken this new wave of feminism as an excuse to not do shit. Like, just like, you can still treat me as an equal partner and still show me the gestures that equate to me perceiving your love for me.
Thank you. Because it's like, and it's like, on top of that, it's women are trying to form and change to this so that guys don't feel like they have to do shit. And like, no, he should. If you like, he should open the fucking door for you. He should do, like, if you need grand gestures, which I like gifts. I like it when you think about me, when like, and I don't know that you're thinking about me. I like it that, like, for instance, New York found a bracelet in like on my dresser. And it was like from my mom and I, like, we went to San Antonio for my mom's 65th birthday. And we went there, and she has a timeshare, and the little band is so that you can, like, ride all the buses. Well, he found it and he put it on. And I was like, ah. And then I was like, let me take a picture. Like, it's just funny, like, because he's wearing a pink shirt, and he's like, oh, I wear pink comfortably. I'm like, oh, yes, you do. But then, like, and the band is also pink, so he's like wearing it. And then, like, when I went to his parents' house, he was wearing it still. Like, it's little things like that make a difference to me. And just, like, I do not want to feel like I'm with somebody who can't just, like, do stuff like that and be okay with that. And then be like, I'm wearing this weird little bracelet. And if anybody asks, you'd be like, I got it from my girl. Like, it's at her house. Like,
exactly. Like, I hate the rhetoric of, like, guys feeling like, well, I thought you were supposed to be an independent woman, so, like, I shouldn't have to pay for shit. Like, we're gonna go halvesies for everything. The idea of, like, wanting to, that was like my big thing, was like, it was difficult for me in the beginning of my relationship that I'm currently in. It was difficult for me to get to a place where I could get my partner to understand where I was coming from, because I feel like in a lot of cultures, sharing and having, like, family style meals, as just an example, like, family style meals was, like, really big to me. I mean, I grew up with, like, my mom working in the city, and I would go with her to like, restaurants on Fridays, and, like, restaurant touring was a big thing, like a big bonding thing for me and my mom to do when I was a kid. And so when you have, like, a family that's pretty tight knit like mine, even though my family is by no means big, it is big relative to my partner's, because it's just him and his parents. He's like pretty much a miracle baby, and all, like, none of his uncles or aunts had kids, so he really grew up as, like, the only kid in, like, a family of a lot of adults. And so this whole concept of something like a family meal and sharing things whenever we go out to eat was, like, something that I had to drive home as, like, this is something that I really value. And it's not just like, okay, on the surface you could see it as, like, I just want everything on the menu, and I want to be able to, like, sample things and have variety. And he grew up with this mindset of, like, I just grew up where people ordered whatever they wanted to eat, and, like, you got your one dish, and that was that. But then again, his family, like, never went out to eat. They only ever went out to eat for, like, birthdays. They're very penny pinchy. And so this whole idea of, like, family meals and, like, us sharing stuff at restaurants was so foreign to him. And I was just like, look, this is really important to me. The concept of, like, sharing, and if you get me this time, or if you buy me this, I can make it up and, like, get you this. Like, I don't want to do this whole tit for tat. Like, we can just do, like, a fluid partnership when it comes to, like, sharing things and having all of that stuff. And that is important to me.
Well, and the more we talk about this, the more it makes me think of how I look at relationships, like romantic relationships, in the same, basically my friendships, what I get out of my friendships is what I would expect out of a romantic relationship if I end up in one. Because me and my friends, sometimes we all split the bill. Sometimes I'm thinking of I have two really close friends here in Brooklyn, Jen and Sarah. Sometimes if we're out together, one of them is going to be like, no, I got it. Put your damn wallets away. A lot of times we go splitsies. Sometimes we cook together at someone's house and one person buys all the groceries. Sometimes we go out and one person buys all the beer, the booze, or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's never like, oh, tit for tat. And even with gifts, sometimes it's just straight up like, oh, I saw you and I thought of, and this reminded me, or I saw this and I thought of you, so I got you a gift. And it's not like this weird thing. It's just like we make the effort to small gestures. I love if I'm out somewhere, if I see something that makes me think of a friend, like a specific random item, I'm gonna buy it. If I have the money, I'm gonna buy it and be like, this reminded me of you and I thought you would enjoy it, so here's a little gift. But when people expect romantic relationships to be this, when men expect this tit for tat, you owe me and then I owe you, it's just like,
and that's what I was in. And the thing was his birthday would come, I would go all out. He told me a story about how he had a record player and while he was gone, his mother sold it. I got him a record player, and those are not fucking cheap. And I went out
cheap,
I'm sorry, I have the hiccups, and my hiccups also sound like burps, so just leave it alone. But I went out of my way to get him a record player. I just always felt because I'm demonstrative with my love and my affection. And I often just felt in that relationship where it was just he only did demonstrative things if other people were aware. So when we worked together at the same place, then yes, he did get Valentine's Day shit because he knew everyone there was going to be like, bruh, your wife, it's Valentine's Day, you ain't done shit. He knew that. So he, that's the time he did it. But regularly, we didn't really celebrate anniversaries, not because I didn't want to, but because, he didn't want. So I would just, I continuously, and that's why I tell people all the time, don't undervalue your needs and your wants, because it goes bad very quickly, because I would consistently just sit there and be like, no, I just don't need those things. It's fine. He just loves me. And that's good. I would love to go out for a nice dinner, but you never even bothered to try to save up for that. But okay, you can buy motorcycle parts. Gotcha. So it was just stuff like that where I just realized no. And it's I don't know. New York is just a very kind, generous, gentle soul. And I don't even like to be touched. To give you a 401, I don't like being touched. I do not enjoy that very much at all. I'm please don't touch me. I don't want to shake hands. That's one of the good things about this pandemic that I think has come out of all of it. I don't have to shake anybody's fucking hand anymore. I don't have to stand there awkwardly when they hold their hand out and me be like, because that's what I do. I'm usually sitting there just oh, I don't really, I don't, So in my entire life, because I knew New York almost 20 years ago, we dated almost 20 years ago, and then we ran into each other last year. Only person that I have ever really allowed to truly cuddle me, truly cuddle me, and I have enjoyed it. Normally I'm ugh, why are you touching me? I can't sleep. The only person that I've ever been able to they cuddle me and I'm it's so gross. I have mouth open, just
and to me that reads safety. That reads that you feel comfortable and safe with this person, because I think if you don't, that level of intimacy then feels like a scary thing you don't want to let go. And I just wanted to say, if anyone is with somebody or even has family or friends that demeans you for wanting things, wanting a gift, wanting a dinner out, wanting to be treated, if you get shit about that, you deserve better than that. It's not selfish, it's not mean, it's not greedy to, on your birthday, want a little something as a gift, want to go out to dinner, or at the holidays want to exchange a present. It's not greedy. It's not just gold digger status. And also, who cares if you are a gold digger? But I think it's such a fucking
I feel like gold digger, just side tangent, I feel like the term gold digger is like a term that was only coined to critique women for having a standard for the type of kind of like friend zoning. Like you don't want to accept that someone wasn't interested in you, so you made up a term called friend zoning to cope with not knowing how to handle rejection. So you made up a term like gold digger because you don't want to accept the fact that you have nothing to bring to the table.
Thank you. You're so upset that you're broke that you're like fucking gold digger. I'm like, listen. No, everybody don't want to grow with you, okay? Like, and I'm gonna say, like, at 40 years old, I don't have time. I don't have time to grow with your rap career or your acting career or whatever bullshit that you were trying to do that isn't having a job and a car and your own place right now. So if that means I'm a gold digger, then fuck, I'm a gold digger because I'm not interested in that. And I did a whole video, Alex, about like bye-bye. It was called like bye-bye friend zone because I fucking hate that. I hate that people are so, like, it's specifically men are so upset and so avoidant of rejection that if their friends ask, like, oh, did you hook up with her? No, man, she friend zoned. No, she didn't. There's not a zone that women have for like friends. Like, you guys are my friends. It's not like a special place that you guys live outside of. Like, you're just my friends. I don't like think about like, oh, well, are we gonna have sex or like that never happens because like that's not how friendship works. So that is weird.
You notice how
they've done that.
You notice how that doesn't happen like for women that are bisexual or pansexual. They're not friend zoning other women. No, it's men that are looking at them being like, I got put in the friend zone. No, we have standards and boundaries, and we set them. And it's like, I also get really annoyed with friend zone and with gold digger because men obviously have standards. They obviously have certain things they expect from the person they're going to get with. And sometimes they're totally unrealistic and sometimes they're fine.
Yeah.
If a woman has standards, oh, you're just a fucking gold digger. You're just greedy. You just want this and that. No, I just don't want your stank ass.
Yeah.
Listen, that's why I hate reality. I so much hate romantic comedies because I just watched one, had like Alex Daddario, but it doesn't matter who was in it. The point is, they so clearly set this up. And this is like, I swear that these kind of movies are what like fostered the incel culture because they so clearly set this guy, her boyfriend, because like you don't even get introduced to her boyfriend until later in the movie. Who you get introduced to is the hot guy first. The hot guy who's very attractive. He's got the smile, the perfect beard hair, like everything's great about him. Then you're introduced to her boyfriend who is not as attractive, has on a fucking fanny pack and is like digging in it for things for her. So like he's obviously, he's being introduced as like weak sauce, like immediately, like next to like super hot guy with the good haircut and the perfect fucking beard. Then you get this lump over here, right? And then when you see her at home with her lumpy boyfriend, like he's wearing only a shirt and he's not wearing bottoms and he's got like a ridiculously hairy ass. Nobody knows why it's so hairy, but it's so hairy. Wearing a shirt, no pants. You're just sitting here like they've deliberately set this guy up to just for you to automatically not like him. Like it's automatic. You automatically don't like her boyfriend. So it suddenly makes it okay for her to break up with her boyfriend to go be with this hot guy. And I hate that like setup, and almost all of them where the girl has somebody, it's always set up in such a way that you see if you see him first, you see that he's annoying and controlling and not as attractive, and then you roll over to like motherfucking Jared Leto and it's like, oh, okay, well, obviously I'm going to like the Jared Leto character more. He has abs and just stupid blue eyes that are impossible not to get lost in. So it's like you can't. So these movies really just set up a culture of like this idea that beautiful women, because the women will settle for like a dumpy guy at some point in some movie, like knocked up. They'll settle for some dumpy. The dudes don't change. They don't miraculously get better. They don't go through a glow up. They don't suddenly like. The only time it was done was like Drive Me Crazy, which was a remake of Can't Buy Me Love. But for the most part, it's not the guy who gets the makeover. It's the girl. The girl gets the makeover. She gets the glow up. She takes off her glasses and pulls out her ponytail. And she's like, I'm pretty. And it's like the
look,
jock does
I'm
nothing.
magically a different person.
Yes. Like the jock literally does nothing. He continues to be a jock, but like goes through an emotional transformation, and that's about as far as it goes. Like he doesn't actually. Yeah.
Audra, if you had to pick Jared Leto, Justin Long, go.
Oh, God. Oh, fuck. It has to be Jared Leto because I want to ride his face. Moving on. It's the nose. It's the nose.
Yeah.
Listen, Rachel.
That's a hard one.
Jared Leto is actually attractive. He is creepy and kind of a self-centered prick, I think. But like, if I had to marry one of them, it would be Justin Long. But if I had to like just carrot taco like takeout, Jared Leto. Yeah.
I also love Yolanda's comment from a little bit earlier ago. I hate with a hot white heat. Say anything, my lord. A whole generation of man babies who brought a boom box and nothing more to a relationship.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Like I despise Grease. I cannot stand Grease, and I will say this on every live chat that I can. I hate Grease. It's disgusting. I don't like Dirty Dancing. It's horrible. It is first of all, God rest his soul, but Patrick Swayze was like 40 years old in that movie, and she was supposed to be 16.
Yeah.
I was like, talk about age gaps. How old was he? He was too old. Even if he was like 20 something in that movie, she was 16. And like nobody, like people just don't remember that. I'm like, no, she was 16. She was 16 in this movie. And if he was 22 in this movie, he was still too old. He was still too old to be fucking around with a 16-year-old. Yes.
Yeah.
So like, I cannot stand the movies that constantly tout like the transformation of the girl. And it's not because I'm like super feminist. It's because I realize that as much as we want to say that media does not impact us, it does. If you are taking this in on a regular basis, it does impact how you feel about what is romantic. It totally changes how you feel about like if you're in a breakup moment and if the other person doesn't do like X thing, then like suddenly it's not worth it. Like relationships aren't drama like that, and they shouldn't be. You shouldn't just be like and like going through all this turmoil. It should be an actual like, partnership, and these movies take that away from us. And I know that it's like so stupid to say that, but like I cannot handle it. I can't handle the way that these movies constantly do this. Like, what was it? Love Actually? You guys, this dude has been lusting over this chick this whole time and then shows up to her house. It is his best friend's wife. Shows up to her house with fucking flashcards like telling about his love for her. What the fuck? I would be annoyed to say the least. I would be like, why are you at my house? I would be
so
smiling.
many rom-coms where it's like, no, you're actually glorifying a stalker.
Yes.
That's stalking. And stalking is an actual real danger for women on a daily fucking basis. It's why the friend zone exists, because you're trying to put somebody that seems threatening and possibly dangerous to you in a safe space so that they don't flip out and turn into a stalker. And as much as you actively try to push against the like the stories that they're telling in movies, it's subversive. It's like a fucking earworm. It's in there. And that's why I agree with you. These movies, it is important to like not either watch less or actively like remember that this is not reality, because it will fuck you over.
Bye, Kara.
Good night, Kara. But the like glorification of stalking, it makes my stomach turn.
Oh my god, that's exactly why.
The wedding video where it's just all her and she's just like, oh my god, you love me. No, I would be calling the police. I would go over there like, your best friend is a fucking psycho. Like, that would be me. Like, your best friend's a psycho. He is fixated on me. His wedding video that's supposed to be of us is just me. we have problems. Like,
I was gonna say that there was well, it's funny that we talked about it on the live stream that I did with Emily too. I recommended that folks watched this movie that I rented on Apple TV Plus called Straight Up, because the female protagonist is like an aspiring actress, and she's like auditioning for a part, and she's asking clarification of the director, and she's like, wait, I'm confused here. You're telling me that the role I'm trying out for is a woman who has had CIA training, she's model gorgeous, she has an IQ of a genius, and she decides to give up her career of going on a mission to North Korea to stay with a guy in Wisconsin who is unemployed, doesn't work out, and they have nothing in common.
Correct.
What?
Exactly.
Yeah. And then I was gonna say to someone's comment earlier, something about people who like, oh, Emily Original. At 8:02, she said, that was so weird to me, to be honest. You kiss her and then just leave. I was gonna say, one of the tropes that I hate about any kind of movie that involves relationships is you constantly have these movies that use the same trope every time. They're in a heated argument. The girl is finally getting her climax moment where she's getting everything off her chest, and they're arguing, and he just like interrupts her mid-argument by kissing her, and suddenly whatever she was mad about is all better. Don't fucking do that. If I'm expressing that I'm angry at you, first of all, don't kiss me, because you don't even know if I want you to kiss me. But second, don't you dare diminish what I'm angry about and try to make it magically all just go away because you kissing me is gonna fix whatever I was angry about. Fuck you.
Thank you. Like, first of all, like, Taco is not suddenly gonna just be like, oh, we're being kidding. I'm like, no, I'm still mad. Get the fuck off.
Yes, exactly.
It glorifies this idea of men being able to take what they want, right? Because, like, I watched, somebody did a really good analysis, and I've got to try to find it again, but there's like somebody who does these fabulous analyses of these kinds of movies and the dangers of them. And they really started talking about like Harrison Ford's movies and how often he is gruff, and like the women, like, and how he takes, like, in those movies, like, you go back especially to like 90s action type movies with women in them, female agency is almost always taken. Almost always. Like, she'll be like, no, don't touch me. And he'll be like, oh yeah, what are you gonna do about it? She's like, don't fucking touch me. And he's like, oh yeah, what are you gonna do about it? She's like, stop it. And then he grabs her and kisses her, and she's like, she fights him for a second and then gives in. Is it any wonder that we have a society of people who have difficulty understanding consent? Is it any wonder? How can you understand when this is constantly thrown at you that the behavior of women is very much, Olivia, that might be right. But the anger of women is very much like, if you just grab us and kiss us, it's going to be okay. If you just, that's not it. I'm like, I am talking to you. I am angry and I am upset. And this is not the time for you to grab a hold of me and kiss me. Like, this isn't what we're doing right. We're having an argument and you're taking it from me now. You're like, oh no, we're not going to argue because I'm kissing you and women can't resist that. Like, no. So it's just every time somebody keeps saying that, oh, well, it's just movies, just TV. I'm like, but it's not though, because a lot of that shit ruined a lot of our like child, because like that's what we grow up with. You grow up with seeing that. You don't grow up with a lot of strong female energy that also still has a good, happy relationship. Most of the time when there's strong female energy, there's not, like, the relationship can't work. Like, it just cannot work.
She's going to be forever alone. She's independent. Yes. And it's like, as somebody right now where I feel like I'm probably going to be, and it's not forever alone, but I'm chosen to be single for my life. That's the plan right now. It could fucking change. But also, I still want to see women and non-binary people and men, good night, Rachel, in relationships that are healthy. And, like, I love when I can see, like, two strong people portrayed in media in a relationship together where they have chemistry, they have banter, but they also, like, talk about shit. And it's just like, that's real, but it's also fake. And we can still show that. And people are like, oh, well, it's not that big of a deal. No, these men in these movies were role models for boys and men growing up. There's a fucking reason why Me Too exists.
Yeah.
And as somebody else in chat says, it's because, and also these movies are perpetuating, the producers and directors are perpetuators of rape culture.
Yes.
Exactly.
And like, so funnily enough, one of my favorite movies, like it's one of the few romantic movies that I absolutely adore. It is Mr. and Mrs. Smith, because when that movie came out, that movie really showed like both of them were strong, they were independent, they were equals. They had just pretended like they both did the thing that people do in relationships where they handed off their representatives, and like it did. And then when they finally were each other and who they really were, she gave as good as she got, like, and he gave as good as he got. And that relationship, that dynamic was something that hadn't been seen and still hasn't been seen again, honestly, since then. It's just because it's always, the woman is always there. Because like, honestly, when you watch old action movies, the woman is like, there's always some random random sex scene that has nothing to do with anything. There was just like a random sex scene, and you're like, why is this here? And they have no, like, Time Cop with Jean-Claude Van Damme had zero reason for there to be like this long drawn out sex scene with him and his wife. Like, they didn't have to show that they loved each other, but they did it anyway. Why? To show how virile he is. It had nothing to do with her. It didn't show that like they were in love. It showed he was virile and he loved her. It didn't really show that she loved him. So it's always like the male gaze that everything is told from. And it like, that was Mr. and Mrs. Smith was the first one that really wasn't just showing it from the male gaze. It was like, no, this is like both perspectives of what's happening in the relationship, even from starting with them being in therapy. So I liked that.
I agree with you, Yolanda was like, that is porn for me. It's like, yeah, that's what's thinking with like the banter, and then both having power and like independent spirits within themselves, but then together it's just like, oh yes, you're like even better together.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, James Bond. Oh my god, and their names.
Yes, there's no consent in all of these movies. It's just like what Alex was saying, where it's like you're in the middle of an argument and he just like takes you and like kisses you, or starts like, you see so many like hate fuck scenes where I'm like, no, if we're fighting, if I'm mad at you, I lost my words because it makes me so frustrated.
Yeah, because they come up with this like with the whole angry sex idea.
Yeah.
And it's like, again, like, that's why I say that, like, how can people define consent if we have like even that thrown in, that like, oh, there's nothing better than angry sex. I'm like, yes, there is. Not angry sex. That's pretty good when I'm not mad and you're not trying to have sex. Like, it's pretty phenomenal.
Like, do you want to explore BDSM? Because it sounds like you want to explore that. That requires consent and communication.
It does. That's why 50 Shades is hot garbage. The books and the movies is all hot garbage, because that's not what the life is about. People do not do that.
Yes, Mo just said, so what about 50 Shades of Lies?
So anybody here who is unfamiliar with the BDSM community, I'm going to tell you this. When two people meet who are involved in that community, the first thing that is done is talked about likes, dislikes, hard nose, yeses, maybes, all of that kind of stuff. It's talked about before you ever touch each other. So as your relationship grows, there are things you might change your mind on, who knows, whatever, but you discuss every bit of that. At no point during a session is it ever okay for the person to go past what you have said is okay. No, it's never okay. And the way that works is you have like various safe words, and it's whatever you've decided. You can decide, red means stop, green means go, yellow means pause, whatever you want to do. But once the words are uttered or this hand signal is done, the other person backs off immediately. Like if you're like red, they get off, it's done. Because the intent is not for anybody to get physically or emotionally harmed. The way that it was done in that movie, all of that would be like any person who was a submissive would never go back. You would never go back because they like broke
Yeah.
every covenant that you had agreed upon.
Seriously.
You would like that is not what like that is absolutely disgusting to me. I hate that there are people that were my friends that were like, yeah, but it's like sexy. I'm like, no, it's not sexy. There's nothing sexy about somebody taking your agency, because the sub is the one who actually has the power in that relationship. The power dynamic is that the sub has the power in that they are the ones who control what does and does not happen. They are the ones who decide. Like the dom does not get to be dominant without the sub saying like, yes, I'm okay with this. So you work together and you have a fun time. Nobody would want to be with a dom who just continuously went past everything you ever wanted. You would never do it. You would just be like, okay, well, done with that. Like these kind of things bother me because there's so many people who tried to walk into the life after seeing that, and it was dangerous for them. It was dangerous because they had no clue that like that's not how it works. So they're like getting in these like kind of violent relationships with people who aren't actually doms. They're like predators. So they're getting into these relationships with these predators, and they didn't know any better. So it's just stuff like that. Like I don't like that.
And I'm amazed that Mo said I couldn't finish the first chapter, having never been exposed to BDSM. It just seemed so unrealistic. But here's the thing: is there are so many people that had the opposite reaction. They had never been exposed to BDSM, and they were just like, "Oh, this is what it is." Like you said, this is so sexy. This is so whatever. And then it literally sets you up to be in an abusive relationship, basically, or in an abusive sexual like. Interactions. And yes, we are still going back and
she's like, oh well, there they are still.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, because the reason why I get concerned about that is a lot, especially with like we all go online. Most of us go online and date, right? So if you didn't know enough about the community and how it actually works, you could go online and there are predators who use those chats and those websites to just basically be able to get away with assaulting a woman. And there's not a lot that can be done about it because you wrote what you wanted explicitly, and to a degree they did that, but like nothing was consented or agreed upon at that time. And then they were able to use this to do what they wanted. The problem with that, again, is that had they just taken a step back and just at least gotten themselves educated on how it actually works, they never would have fallen for that person in the first place. Like anybody, if you're interested in that kind of thing and you're going back and forth on like any form of social media, anybody who immediately wants you to address them as sir or madam, that's a no-go. Yeah. That's a no-go. Like that is not how that works. You have to earn that. You have to get to a point where you both respect each other, and like that's where you're going. When you're just meeting, you're just two people and you refer to each other by name or whatever, like, or you may have pet names for one another. But if they're just like, how are you doing? You're like, oh, I'm good. And they're like, no, I'm good, sir. Like that's bye. Yeah. Bye. Because that person is more often than not actually in the life.
And I wanted to call it, so another lemon tree said, okay, it's some people's fantasy, but by all accounts, it's not an accurate reflection of the BDSM community. But here's the thing. There are ways to have interactions that feel like they are breaking saying the stop word and they go past it. But that's called role play. And that's where you're like, the fake safe word is red. The real safe word is black. And that's part of the like the interaction, but it's not actually abusing that consent.
Yeah, so a lot of times that is why a lot of people use the color code system, because no is not necessarily no in the community, depending on what you're role playing. There's a lot of different fantasies that come into play there. So a lot of times that's why people resort to like fruits and colors as the safe words, because no, if you're role playing, like you're supposed to say no in that role play. So like no isn't the end. Yes, ma'am. Consensual non-consent. And that's the nicest possible way to put it. Because if you say it the way that some people will get upset about you saying that. So like, but by all accounts, it is fun. It's a good time. It's a good, healthy experience if you're into it, or even if you want to try it. And the thing is, you don't have to go all out to the world. You can enjoy spanking. You can enjoy forced orgasms. You can enjoy so many different aspects of it and not have to do everything under the moon. Like, there are people who literally all they want to do is spank you, and you're like, cool, I want to get spanked, and that's a good time for both of you. So it's just so many different levels, and I think that for me, a lot of movies either paint the BDSM community as weird and creepy, like as seen as like the people under the stairs, like they're just creepy people, like wandering around in leather suits for like no reason. No reason. They're just doing that. Or they're just like violently weird and like doing too much, or like they're also a source of comedy. So it's just like that's not a good representation of the community, and it makes it hard for people who are interested in trying it, that like they will be seen that way, which is why people don't ever want to be outed in the community, because they're afraid of what will happen if people know that they're in the life. Especially women, it's very dangerous, and to male bottoms, it's very dangerous for them as well.
Yeah,
you're welcome. I guess.
And that's so great. Like if you enjoy vanilla sex and that's what you want, that's great. But it's just like there's also like just all these different little levels, and it's really all about consent. It's about communication and consent, because sometimes you're vanilla.
Emily.
Emily, I'm sorry. Sometimes you're vanilla, but then like you do want a little something, and you discover that, and you're like, oh, I'm vanilla, but I like spanking. Okay. That doesn't make you like some weird outlier. It doesn't make you not a part of the BDSM community, but also if you don't really consider yourself part of it, that's fine. As long as you're having like consensual sex and you're communicating with your partner or partners, there's nothing wrong with any of it.
Yeah, and like especially as a single woman, you are like, if you want to go to like, I know this sounds weird, but you could go to a club and like just kind of walk around. Nobody says you don't have to do anything. You don't have to, just kind of walk around. I always recommend, if you're interested or you're like you're just like curious, it's kink.com is the website for their good times. And the reason I say that is because if you watch it and if you find yourself in any way turned on by different things that they do, then that kind of gives you an idea that you might be interested in trying it, right? So then you kind of like, you get a very good idea. Kink.com is very, very good about posting a before interview and an after interview. That's why I like theirs so much, because they post a before interview of like the actress saying what she does want to happen, what she's willing to try, what she doesn't want to happen, down to like even like names she doesn't want to be called. Like, you know, they'll be like, do you mind being called a bitch? And she's like, I don't mind that, but I don't like to be called such and such. Then you see like what happens, and then you have the after. Don't get it twisted. All the afters are not always like rainbows and sunshine. Like sometimes they're like, oh my gosh, like I want to try this, but it was too much for me. And like, I'm glad, like, you know, we cut that off. So it's just very much a healthy way of seeing that kind of relationship, because I just feel like so many people don't understand the good, fun, healthy release that you can get from that. Like, as somebody who's participated, I have not had a bad experience at all. I've been lucky in that regard, but I haven't had a bad experience. I've been with very like careful and caring partners who have not tried to like actually hurt me. So it's wonderful things like that. Thorn, we were talking about BDSM.
Welcome back.
Welcome. Kate, have a good night. I hope we didn't freak you out tonight. But yeah, it's just, I get very bothered and upset because it's something that like, I guess I'm sort of passionate about, because I worry about people getting hurt by not having information. That's all. And I'm just like, these poor people get upset, like Emily and her experience where she, you know, had a bad experience. And it's so, especially when you're very eager, because like, that's how some of these folks get you, where they're like, oh, come meet me. And you're like, ugh.
As Thorne said, so a typical Thursday night. Exactly.
And I was going to say, crossing off the BDSM square on the bingo card.
I know. And I get passionate about it too, because I've like dabbled in it, but I hate the perspective that so many people have about BDSM and anyone that partakes in it or participates in it, and it's like terrible or weird or you're demented or like the weirdest, most fucked up things I've heard. I've heard people describe like the BDSM community, and I'm like, if you ask some of your close friends, they're in that community that you're shit talking.
T just stay ready now. She's like, it's just whatever happens over here. Yeah, I mean,
it's why we're called the gutter.
Yeah, I mean, like, look at it, LGG for life, man, because I feel like this is a space, and I always want to create a space where people can try to feel safe, especially just being able to discuss things that maybe sometimes nobody wants to discuss because they're afraid of demonetization, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the reality of the situation is if we don't talk about these kinds of things, this is how people get hurt. You know, this is how people end up in bad situations, even down to like talking about virginity with young women and being like, listen, and young men and just being like, listen, it's like, it is what you want it to be, but it's not sacred. Like, just being able to look at it's not necessarily sacred. Sometimes you really like someone, you don't necessarily love them. You really like them and you want to have relations. And that's okay too. Just be safe. Yeah. Like, just being able to say that, because the tie in of, well, when you love someone is problematic, because like, what if you don't fall in love? You know, what if you feel like you're not going to fall in love? How long are you supposed to like wait for this magical love feeling that's supposed to tell you? And it's nothing against anybody who does it. That is perfectly fine. No. But I don't like it being told in just that aspect. I want it to be told in all realms. Like, you can fall in love and you can do it. You can just like somebody a lot and you can do it. You can do it by yourself.
Also, it's a construct. Virginity is a construct.
True.
Your hymen is a construct. Like, so of course, being intimate with somebody, that can be a big moment. That can be a big situation. But the idea of like, I have to protect this sacred thing, especially as women, as young girls, it's like, you could ride a bike and lose your hymen. You could never have a hymen when you're born. You could put a tampon in and it's be considered not a virgin. Like, there's a million dumbass fake rules about how to keep your virginity or lose it.
Also, you can never lose your hymen. You can continuously have sex and always have your hymen. I just learned that last year. Like, you can just have your hymen forever.
Yeah.
I was going back to Amanda Beebe. God, I love her. I was watching her video months back about the whole TI thing. Super creepy. Going to his doctor.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
Office, and it's like, isn't it funny that we've somehow developed like a science or a method to measure a woman's virginity, but there's no way to tell if a guy is a virgin? Isn't that funny? Like, maybe it's because virginity is not a real scientific thing. It's something that we've constructed as an ideal for a society. It's so engraving. Anyway, I was gonna touch on that topic, Audra, about virginity and like love and all of that stuff. So when I was in high school, I dated two different guys. And for me, I mean, my mom had me really young. She had me at 16.
Yeah.
And so I grew up kind of understanding that having sex in high school could be kind of a risky thing, because safe sex isn't something that's always taught very regularly. And so I decided that for myself, that I wanted to wait until I was at least out of high school. That was my own standard that I set for myself. And part of it was also just like, most of these guys at my high school are fucking whack. So like, I don't want to do anything with them anyway.
Yes.
And two, my school was really small. So I just felt like if I get involved with anybody, like, I don't trust these people, like my business is going to get out of there and it's not going to be in my control anymore. So I wanted to wait until I was at least out of high school. And then when I met my current partner, we had been dating like around 8 months or so. And, you know, like you experiment with what boundaries are comfortable for you and like what you're comfortable with and stuff like that. And we both like came to the agreement together that we wanted to wait until like a year of dating, because we wanted to kind of just be on the safer side. Even though we were going to be each other's like first partners, we wanted to make sure that we were both like emotionally ready for that. And so it's going to be different for everybody. That was a standard that I set for myself. I wanted to be in a relationship for at least a year. I personally wanted it to be with someone that I loved. And that was an agreement that we came to. He was on the same page. And yeah, the first couple of times are like really awkward, but like it was something that I appreciate was done with someone who I had a lot of like care for. And so a few years later, my roommate, one of my roommates, my senior year, I kind of played matchmaker, and I basically like set her up with this guy who was like kind of a mutual friend, and they ended up hitting it off really well, and they're still currently together. And she had never been in a relationship, like, period. Like, she had never dated. Like, she had kind of like maybe had like a couple of like brief experiences, but for the most part, like, she had never had sex either. And so I think they ended up like doing the deed like maybe 6 months or like a couple months into dating or something like that. It was sooner than what I personally set for myself. But I'm not going to sit here and like judge someone for how quickly or how slowly they decide to do something like that for the first time with their partner. Like, that was the right decision for her, and what I decided for myself was the right thing for me. And I don't want, like, I hate this notion that people set forth for themselves about like, oh, like, this age is like too old. Like, I need this whole idea of like, I need to lose my virginity before I get to college. Like, I don't want to be a virgin in college. It's so dumb, because there are so many people who decide to wait until they're out of high school. And it's like you said, what matters at the end of the day is that you're being safe about it, that you're being protected. And even if you are like in a non-hetero relationship, using protection is still so important. I feel like there's such a misconception about relationships that are non-hetero, where it's like, well, we don't really need to use protection because pregnancy is not a concern for us.
Thank you. Like, everybody forgets about STDs.
You still have to worry about STDs, and like having that open line of communication with whoever you're having sex with is super important. And the lesson that I've taken away from like being more like sex positive is like, the lesson here is being emotionally ready for sex is something really big, and you have to evaluate that for yourself. And if that means that you're not comfortable talking about sex with your partner and like safety and getting tested and all of that stuff, then maybe you're not emotionally ready to do it if you can't bring yourself to a place where you're comfortable to even just talk about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, so American Pie was like such an iconic movie, and it's because of the virginity scene. It's because, like, I can't remember, like, but it's Tara Reid. I can't remember. I think her name was Vicky in the movie. And they finally, after all of this mess, finally have sex. And it's just kind of like, oh. And it was very important at that time, because up to that point, first times were being treated like this magical thing. And for like, especially women, like most of us, it's just like, like, it's not terrible. Like, it's not like a horror, but it's not anything where you're going to write like letters and be like, oh my goodness, I had sex and it was fabulous. Like, we're not really doing that. It's weird. It's awkward. Somebody's in your body. You know what I mean? Like, somebody's in your body. Like, up until this point, no one's been in your body. And now there's somebody in your body. It's a very odd sensation. So I was a virgin until I was 21. I was like you, Alex, and that I was uninterested in like hooking up with any of these punks from my high school. Like, no, thank you. You can all just like, no, oop, not you either. Nope. And then I got to college. By the time I did have sex, I was like over my virginity at this point, because it had become like a noose around my neck to a degree, because it was just like, every time you're like getting down and dirty, and like then the sex, like, you just froze like freaking squirrels in the road, just like, And it just became very like stressful because it's like as soon as they got like a little too far, we were like, oh, is that his penis? Like, you know, like you're like, it's coming out. Like, like it's getting too close to my vagina. Like,
and I'm over here thinking, like, especially if you are somebody that has a vagina and you are interested in sex or interested in exploring, like, basically if you're interested in sex, but you don't feel totally emotionally ready to have sex with another person, explore yourself, have orgasms.
I was exploring me.
Because that was the thing, is like for me, like when I finally, because I was like 21 or 22, I don't even fucking remember, but I didn't care because I had already been, I mean, basically I was like, toys exist. It doesn't matter. I'm long gone a virgin. Like that's not a thing. So it was just like, it didn't, I don't know. I think it was just like, it mattered, but it didn't. I think at that point in time, because I grew up in North Carolina, and like the religious overtones that were always tied with virginity always felt like such a stupid, fucked up thing that women in particular have to wear as a noose around us.
Yeah,
young
like
kids
doing what is it? Chastity cards in fucking 6th grade.
Yeah, and like promise rings and all this shit. Yeah.
In school, they had us signing chastity cards. They had like a sex education, and they separated the girls and the guys, and they handed out all these fucking pink chastity cards to all the girls. This is Texas. This is small town Texas, and had us sign these things. Like, are you serious? You had me signing a fucking chastity card when we didn't even really know what sex was, and we were still calling people sluts, and we had no idea what a slut was, and we were calling somebody that. So it's just like stuff like that where I was just like, why are we living our lives like this? And like my first time, honestly, was horrific. It was horrific. The dude had the nerve to even say to me, like, are you sure you're a virgin? You didn't bleed? And I made him leave immediately. Like, I told him to get the fuck out of my apartment. I was like, get out of my apartment.
No.
He was like, what? I was like, get out of my apartment. And he was like, wow. I'm like, just get out. And like, he left, and I was very upset. And I ended up calling this one, like, this is a different bucktooth goth guy. Is it weird that I knew 2 of them? Yes, but that's neither here nor there. I did know 2 different bucktooth goth guys, and that's my life. And so this was, you know, second bucktooth goth guy, and we had been hooking up and like kind of playing with each other, and like I should have just let him have sex with me first, but because of his buck teeth, I wasn't sure that that's what I wanted. But then I like called him over, I told him how awful everything was, and he came over and he fixed the situation. All right, when I tell you that I was like, oh, this is how it can be. See, you know what? Don't sleep on dudes with buck teeth. That's all I'm going to tell you.
And that's the other thing with movies, like either like portray something like American Pie. I feel like for so many women, the first time is either could be very painful, or it's like, oh, okay, that was it. But also Thorne's Freudian slip, giving out chastity carrots instead of carrots. Iconic. I'm just like I'm just very, yes, like Mo was saying, religious overtones. I was in Bible study when they told us girls had to remain pure. I said, if I'm a virgin, my husband better be too. And they said, that's not a thing. And I said, I'm not getting married. Hell yes.
Yeah, because the idea that we're supposed to be, because like, and this has been said multiple times, but here's the world that we live in as women in heteronormative relationships. We live in a world where guys want us to fuck like porn stars, but have not been with anybody else. How are you supposed to get that kind of knowledge if you've never slept with anyone? What do they think that we're doing? Like, do they think that we're all just like sitting, like riding random dildos and like practicing? Like, that's not what we're doing. We're not like practicing to have sex with you. We're having fun for ourselves. Like, so it's weird that they want us to be porn stars, but like also don't have slept with anybody. Like, be basically a virgin, but like be.
And also don't watch porn because like you're too classy for that. That's only what guys do.
Yeah. And then it also calls into question, like, if you have, oh my God, I saw that. I fucking hate this world. I hate it here.
So gross.
I was going to say,
when it comes to like that.
When it comes to like weddings and stuff, I hate this like I don't know if it's like a ceremonious thing, but like the whole like a woman on her wedding day like being walked down the aisle by her dad or male figure and like handing her off to her husband. I don't like that. I mean, I think that the walking down the aisle with your dad or like your parents, like that's kind of cute, but the fact that it's rooted in this like symbolism of being passed on from your dad to your husband is fucking weird. And why is no one questioning that?
It's because we used to be property, and that's why. That's why that happens, because it was a contract. Marriage was a contract, and what it was is that we were like, okay, I'm coming to this whole thing, whether I like you or not. It also solved many feuds amongst families, and like this is how marriage was viewed. It was a fucking contract. So it's like, all right, I'm here. I brought her to you. Now give me the fucking goats. Like that's where it is. Like
yeah,
so,
yeah. It was all about like, property exchange.
Like even down to engagement rings. That whole thing stems from the fact that men could not wait to have sex. They wanted to have sex. So the engagement ring came about as a way for men to defile a woman before marrying her and for her to be alone with him. And basically the ring was a contract that if he did not marry her, this was her, I'm going to go start the fuck over somewhere else money. Like that's what it was. So nobody knew that like essentially she had been defiled, de-virginized and all that because she couldn't stay in this town. Who's going to marry her now? Who's going to marry her now that like somebody's already had sex with her? So she would just like take the ring, go start over somewhere, like sell it, go start over somewhere else where somebody didn't know that she wasn't a virgin and be able to like get married and have a life. So all of these things are deeply rooted in like patriarchy and bullshit. Like women, and as if women did not like have sex at all. And like, it's just, it's weird. Like Greece was not like that. I did not go through all this paganism to have Christians ruin it for me. No, I'm just kidding.
the whole white dress for your wedding, because you're supposed to be pure. You're supposed to be a virgin when you get married. Fuck all that off. I loved Emily original said, I'm walking myself and it'll be a goddamn runway. Exactly. If I were to ever get married, I'd wear whatever fucking color I want. As somebody who's worked in and around the wedding industry, I've seen a lot more people, they'll walk with their parents, or they'll walk with like, even I would probably be like, I want to walk down the aisle with one of my best friends.
Yeah. So, I mean, if I were to be silly enough to get married again, I'm only marrying somebody who's going to allow me to wear my black gothic dress and get married in a cemetery underneath a full moon. And that's what I want. That's what I want. It's not too much.
I would love to be there. It's not too much. I want to be there.
I forgot where I saw it, but I remember there was some meme that was talking about like, how is it that guys want to marry a girl who's a virgin, but then the guys are also expected to have sexual experience? And then it's like, who are these guys having sex with if these women are all virgins?
But they're having sex with the unmarriable sluts. That's who they're having sex with.
Or the prostitutes that their father has hired for that.
Or that. Exactly. Yeah. That's the same similar.
Ooh, Angela, that is actually one of my favorite subjects because that is how sex toys came about there, y'all. This used to be something that they did at the doctor's office. You think I'm kidding? No,
it's real. It's history.
And they gave you an O. They basically jerked women off, is the polite way to put it. And the women were like, oh, and then they were just having hysteria like every day because they needed to go to the doctor to have handled.
There's something about going to having the doctor that gave me like a bit of a traumatic response where I'm just like having your fucking doctor jack you off. No. That's
so creepy.
Yeah.
You go to the doctor and they'd be like, and you're like, it feels so much better. Like, husband on your nerves, go see your doctor. Like,
there was something else that I was going to talk about as far as marriage goes. Oh, there's a girl that I knew in school who was pretty religious. and her family, you know, like she would go to church like every week, and she was very devout, and I always admired that she had this like really good relationship with her church community, and it was like a good demonstration about how, like, you know, some churches, you know, can really foster like a loving, you know, home for a lot of people, and like that's all well and dandy. I remember one time we were having a conversation because she was someone who wanted to wait, you know, because of her religion, she planned on waiting until marriage to have sex for the first time. And I remember thinking to myself that on the one hand, I think that that could be like a really good thing. And I think I remember when Alex the Alchemist was a guest on the Half Cousins podcast, I think I talked about it, and I asked her the question, like something about like sex before marriage, and she enlightened me that the history of that is rooted in like not spreading STDs, or like it can be interpreted that way, like people saved virginity, like they kept it and they waited until they were married so that way you could guarantee that you wouldn't be spreading disease with someone who had previous sexual partners. And so a part of me like understands, okay, like that makes sense, but in practical terms, I feel like I don't know. I think even though I've only had like my one partner who we're still together with, I still feel like there are some ideas that just don't feel like they would really apply to modern times. Does that make sense? Like,
I feel like I'm over here. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, I feel like there is something to be said. Bye. There is something to be said for wanting to have that intimacy with someone. And if you're not compatible when it comes to your sexual relationship, that's something that's going to be a recurring issue, even if you decided to like do your wedding vows, because sex is a really integral part of a lot of relationships, unless that's not something that's important to the both of you. Same with living together. There are people who are religious and they don't believe that you should live with the person until you're married. And it's like, okay, living together and like sharing a life together, as well as like having that intimate aspect of your relationship, could make or break the whole relationship. Are you just gonna risk suffering and silence because you made this vow to follow these like rules that are kind of archaic?
Yes, because a lot of those religious rules pretty much prioritize that men are going to get whatever the fuck they want out of the situation, because they'll always probably be able to get off in a sexual situation with their wife. Not having sexual compatibility, not knowing, are you a highly sexual person? Are you not a highly sexual person? Does your body kind of work with your partner's body? Do you both enjoy the same thing? Are you compatible to like, you know, give and take? If you enjoy one thing and they enjoy another, and you have to like go back and forth and balance that out. Whether if you are somebody who is not sexual, you should have sex or have these conversations with your partner before getting married. Because let's say you aren't a sexual person and you never have this conversation, and you're like, whatever, we'll deal with it after the fact. We'll deal with it when we get married. Why would you do that? Why would you set yourself up for failure? Why would you set yourself up for like, and same with living together. But I think, Audra, we're talking about the concept of like not having sex before marriage. And I'm like, no. You need to know your sexual chemistry and compatibility. I don't care how religious you are. I don't care how traditional you are. If you actually want to be successful in your marriage, you should know that kind of shit before you get engaged. Yeah. Like, not even married, before you get engaged.
Yeah.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Sex is a two-partner deal. If you are not sexually compatible, like, your marriage is not going to last. That's where cheating and all that comes in. Because, like, if you're not sexually compatible, even if you love them, if you're not sexually compatible, it will not work out. It just won't. You can't be with somebody who you do not have sexual compatibility, because it's boring. Like, then you're just sitting there and you're like, well, okay, like, I guess, like, I mean, I love you a lot. Like, my ex-husband, I thought he was, like, good at sex, right? Like, because I'd just been having, like, strings of, like, random little relationships in between, like, my 2.5 year off and on thing. So I'd just been kind of, like, dabbling in, like, sex and having fun with it. But it wasn't until we broke up that I realized how, like, he wasn't good. And, like, it's not his fault. Like, I didn't know any better. But, like, he just really wasn't good. He wasn't as, like, attentive as he could be to my needs. He was always, like, he wanted morning lovin's when I was just uninterested in them, and he was insistent on having them. And I was like, I don't want to, like, because especially at that time I was young, and when you're young, you're always thinking about, like, my breath stinks and this stinks and, like, and so you go into these, like, little things where you just don't want to, because it's not like the movies. That's the thing, is it's not like the movies. It's not like the movies where they just roll over and start kissing. Like, ew, no, you're not gonna, no. But although you do mouth, like, closed mouth kiss, you're like, mwah, mwah, like, nobody's like, because, like, it's all stank at this point. It's all stank. Like, everybody's breath is stinky. You just, like, rub it together, 2 dragon breaths. Like, nobody's doing that. But, like no, y'all don't want to be breathing fire into each other's mouths. So, like, that's not a thing. But the idea of, like, just don't have sex and, get married. And I'm like, okay, but, like, what happens if you get married and you discover that it's awful? And at first you don't know it's awful until you're, like, talking to some other people finally, and then you're just like, well, I don't know. How do you know if you've had an orgasm? You know what I mean?
Oh my God! Yes!
This is why I say that. This is why I say women need to give yourself orgasms. Explore your fucking body and give yourself orgasms.
Yeah.
So that you don't get married and think, I don't need orgasms. Like, if we're not, anyway. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, so your point, Emily, totally ties into back to our original topic about trashy reality dating television. So there was a season of Tough Love with Steve Ward, which I still argue is, like, one of, like, it's, if you're talking, like, a spectrum of, like, really trashy reality television, like, buck wild, trailer trash, crazy, and then you have, like, slightly classy, like, not as trashy reality television. I would say Tough Love is, like, slightly on the classier side. Anyway, there was a lady who was on one of the seasons who had, like, I think she was a divorcee or something like that, and the topic of orgasms came up, and she went on, like, a date. I think the way that the show worked was they were all single, and then they would go through they would learn a lesson, and then I think they would implement that lesson by being matched up with someone who Steve and his mom thought would be compatible with them. And then if they wanted to continue seeing that person and see if a relationship could develop from it, then they would go on dates with that same person. So anyway, so there was this lady who was on the show. I can't remember if it was the first or second season, but I remember it came up, the topic of her never having had an orgasm. And she was like, well, how do you know if you've had an orgasm? And every woman on the cast was like, you would know if you had an orgasm. And she was like, oh my God, like, I never knew. And then Steve was like, he basically was inching towards, like, so, like, you've never masturbated, like, you've never have gotten that type of, like, sexual pleasure. And I don't know, like, where she was from, but she was definitely one of those, like, old school people who, like, was not hip to the idea of self-exploration. And she was like, oh, no, ew, like, I don't really like the idea of, like, trying to get myself off. I'd rather, like, be having sex with a partner at the same time. Like, I don't really want to do that. And then I don't know if, like, one of her storylines at the end of the show was, like, she finally had an orgasm with, like, a toy or something like that. I don't know. But the fact that she went her whole life, and I think she was, like, in her mid to late 30s, and she'd never orgasmed before, which I'm sympathetic to. I know that a lot of people have a hard time orgasming. Like, it's not easy for some people. Sometimes it's a mental block. Sometimes it's just trying to find the right method that works for you. So obviously it's not going to be a straight like a straightly defined path for everybody to achieve that. So it's like I understand that, but I wish that more people were open-minded about doing that.
Yeah, because like so like downtown with the mouth downtown time. My ex says boo on that whole thing. The first time that I ever had I thought, like, I was confused for a second because I had a tete-a-tete with a pilot in a hotel room. And he was down in my town. And all of a sudden I was like, what's happening to my body? Like, I was just like, what's going on? And like the whole, like, it was just a strange vibration that started to happen. And I was like, oh my God. And it was just like, I didn't know because I could never get comfortable with someone going down in my town. But I guess because like I was getting divorced and this pilot was handsome and I just was like, whatever, who cares? And like I wasn't worried about farting into his mouth. That's a whole other story. But like I just went on and did my thing. And like I was just like relaxed and like it was just the combination of being relaxed and letting it happen. And then like his skill, actually, if he wasn't such a douchebag anyhow, but his skill was like, and it would just blew my mind because I was like, I didn't know that you could do that with this. Like, I thought that was just foreplay. Like, I thought that was just like to get things sauced. And then you had, actual relations. So to come to the conclusion, like, oh my gosh, it like blew my mind. I was like, oh.
And sometimes, yeah. And sometimes, like, I'm thinking, okay, with the orgasm thing, it's like, sometimes, one, if you make yourself orgasm and you still don't enjoy it, I mean, I guess that's fine. That's your thing. I'm saying, I guess, like, I'm being judgy. I'm not being judgy. But you should experience it to make sure. And then, but also, sometimes you need a little toy action to assist, even if you're with somebody. Like,
and
if they're not great at the mouth stuff, or that doesn't do it for you, sometimes you need a little vibration to go with the carrot action. I couldn't think of which thing I was talking about.
Because I'm weird about having clean hands, so I'm a toy person because it actually does physically upset me for my hands to be dirty. Like it really does, and like I can't deal with it. Like I think it's because like with the toy, I can do the thing, and then like I can just go watch TV. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to do like all this like prep afterwards. Oh my gosh! Like I want to smell my like self on my. So it's like. With the toy, I never have to worry. Like if somebody came to my door and I just finished, like nobody knows. Like I'm just like my hands are clean, it's fine. Like don't worry. Like I use a toy. So it's like for me, like, and that's why I try to tell you, like try toys if you're afraid of like not. And I'm not even afraid. It's just like I don't like it. I like every time I do it, it's dirty. Like I just get very. I'm like it's so dirty.
It can be messy.
It doesn't do it for me.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say. I remember in high school when I was in high school, I think it was like my junior year of high school, I did the spring productions, which were always musicals. And I remember we were at rehearsal one time, and I remember talking with some of my friends, and both of them, one was a year older, one was the same year as me, and they both had boyfriends at the time. And I remember them talking, I appreciated how open they were talking about sex, because I felt like it was one of those things where as a high schooler, a lot of it can seem sort of clandestine and gossipy, but having like an open conversation about their experiences, especially as someone who hadn't had sex yet, was really interesting to me. But I was always like comfortable with my body. Like the whole like self-exploration thing wasn't new to me at the time. And so I remember they both expressed the sentiment that they would rather like go and eat some carrots rather than let their partners like have some taco. And I always thought that was really interesting to me. Like it's one thing for you to I remember someone in the comments earlier was talking about how Smash Mouth was clowning on DJ Khaled because he doesn't eat tacos but expects his carrots to be eaten. So there's that. But I mean I feel like my friends in high school, their situation was different. I understand, like, oral sex is not going to be something that everyone is comfortable with.
True,
but I do feel like it can get kind of messy when, like, you don't like to give, but you expect your partner to give to you and be on the receiving end. Like, you got to communicate about that. If you're both comfortable with it, great. If one is comfortable with it and one is not comfortable with it, but is still comfortable giving, like, okay, fine. So I wondered if that was the kind of situation that they were both in, that they were okay giving, but didn't really, like, care to receive.
Oh,
but
no, baby, if you ain't going to give it up, my mouth will stay closed.
I know. The whole reciprocity thing was really important to me too, which, no problem here. But when I was in high school and they were telling me about that, I was like, I wonder why. And I wonder if it's because there's, like, this dumbass cultural stigma about, like, women's tacos being fish tacos, and, like, this whole idea is like, okay,
just said it in the chat. We're taught vaginas are gross.
That. Yeah.
Yes.
And, like,
no, it's okay. It was perfectly timed.
Because the thing is, not only are we taught that it's gross, but, like, women are, like, still, even though we've been told multiple times, like, please stop douching, please stop. Your lady business is a self-cleaning organism. It handles up on its business. If you notice any kind of a funky smell that you're not normally supposed to have, especially if it's accompanied with a little bit of itching or irritation, like, go see the doctor. And that's gonna, like, 9 times out of 10, especially if you're not active, it's bacterial vaginosis. There's nothing, like, your shit just gets out of balance. It's just like that's how this works. Like, sometimes things get out of balance, but it's not supposed to smell like fresh roses. It's just not. I would know. I've
inside of your body.
Gone down to them. I've never been down in someone's lovely taco town, and it smelled like roses. It smelled like a vagina. Like, it smelled like a vagina.
And I think especially when you're younger, I personally think, like, even with your friends, what may have happened is that their boyfriends half-ass tried. That's amazing. Box lunch. That's perfection. I feel like what happens a lot of times is that the boyfriends half-ass try. They're not even trying. They're not even aiming for your clit. They're just flopping their tongue around. And so then you're like, stop. No, get out.
Yes,
and so
then the amount of time
realize
to, like, be like, then they want you to do that for, like, forever, and you're like, listen, I'm sorry, you were down in my town. It was horrific. They were like, Nightmare on Elm Street does not begin to describe what you were doing down there. And now you want me to be in, like, on yours for 10 minutes. No, I didn't even have like, I didn't have a good time. No, like, I'm gonna spit on it and then we can have sex. Like, no. Let's go. Like, I'm so sorry for that imagery, but it's weird, like, the demand that men have. And, like, if you flip it from heteronormative relationships into same-sex relationships, it's horrible. The shows that they have for it are horrible. Like, there's always, like, if you look at Will and Grace, while people are like, oh, it was revolutionary, but like, Grace was essentially this hag. And, like, she did not exist without her gay best friends, and her gay best friends did not exist without her. And I didn't like that kind of relationship. Like, I was happy that they were finally showing gay people on TV, but when you look back at it now, it's, like, not necessarily a good look. And because it's still happening. It's still happening that the gay character, it's the same way I feel about the Black wise woman and everything. Like, the gay character is just, like, there to be like, I'm gay, or to further along some plot point. The gay character is usually the one to be like, girl, you got this. Like, they're the fairy gay mother. Like, that's what they do. They show up and they're the fairy gay mother, and she's like, oh my God, I'm so glad I have you on my life. And then, like, that fixes everything. And basically, you can interchange the wise Black woman with the fairy gay mother. Like, you can just interchange them because they're the same character. They're just, like,
it's all the same tokenized character.
Yeah. Like, and they're never actually a part of the entire dynamic of the story. They're just, like, this side part of it. And I don't like that. It's like, how are we supposed to help people to have realistic expectations of a relationship if we are constantly giving everybody these like bullshit tropes?
I'm dying. I'm distracted by tea. Sometimes it's the guys who try who try too hard who are the worst. Like a dog eating a plate of spaghetti. I read like a dog eating a plate of spaghetti and just had the whole visual. Oh my goodness.
Oh my god,
Emily.
I just had spaghetti for dinner yesterday. That is an image if I ever had one.
Mm-hmm. Like if you've ever really wanted to see a very good representation of the magical Black woman, go watch The Stand. So it's a Stephen King movie about like the fucking end of days. But there is just like everybody is gathering to go see a wise old mammy. That's what they have dreams of a wise old mammy. And the wise old mammy has all the information on how they can beat the devil. Like, yeah. So if you want to see, and honestly, a lot of rom-coms have the wise old magical, like not necessarily old, but the wise magical Black woman who's always like, girl, you are way too good for this. You know, and she's usually hard on the like white protagonist. And then later she says like, I was hard on you because I saw good in you. It's like, it's just shit like that. I said it exactly like they always do. That's why y'all are cracking the fuck up, because you've heard that.
Yes. But also Thorn, the slopping noises will never leave my head.
Yeah. Yeah, the mystical Negro. And it just becomes like this constant where we don't get to be human beings. We're just like mystical, right? We're just like these mystical creatures. And it's one of the reasons why even like Black people in general are so critical of other Black movies. Like I can't stand Tyler Perry, and we're just not going to really like, we do not have enough time for me to like talk about why and how deeply I despise Tyler Perry. But I gravitate towards like movies that have an all Black cast because for once the mystical Negro isn't there. It's just a movie of like Deliver Us from Eva is honestly one of my favorite old school movies. I know it's problematic, but like it's also funny. But it was just like one of the first movies I saw, especially like rom-com wise, where it was just like all Black people. And Gabrielle Union was in it, and LL Cool J before he got crazy, and like before he just like fell into the sunken place. Like, listen, LL fell into the sunken place. Like, he is in the sunken place, and we need to rescue him. We've got to like, I don't know whatever magic words we're gonna say, but like, LL, come back to us, come back. But like, but it's very like, because it's so interesting because you see and I just want to see Black people represented in like just as Black people. I don't want them to be the sports guy. Like, even though it was a hot take when I said it, when I was doing my like whole thing about, I was reenacting The Faculty, and I remembered like saying about like, well, Usher's not dating anybody because there's no other Black people in this town, yo. Like, but like that was the truth, because you had to have the Black people together. If you look at TV now, they think that they've changed because they have interracial relationships, but look at how much strife these interracial relationships have as opposed to their same race counterparts. The amount of strife and like intensity that goes through with people who have an interracial relationship or a homosexual relationship is bar none so fucking high. And it can never, like, it's almost like, well, you can only get to, you know, paradise by struggling. And I hate that idea. And so it's just like, why wouldn't you just have like a good relationship? Like, why are these two people allowed to just like fall in love and be together? But then like all the strife going on here, they're interracial, and it's like impossible for them to get together. It's impossible for them to have a wedding. It's impossible for them. It's just like, they can't get together. And it's annoying. Good night, Tan. I'm so glad you were here. I've been chatting with Tan on Instagram. I'm slow about it, but I've been chatting. Hey. So nice to see you. Thank you. Have a good night. But also, like, that's the kind of shit.
I wouldn't agree with Feffy. Audra, if you did a fuck Tyler Perry video, I would watch it 10 times, by the way.
Dude, same. I totally would. Was Tyler Perry the one that did Acrimony?
I was like, I have no fucking clue.
Ooh.
I remember. Good night, T. Enjoy your reading.
Good night, T. We're probably going to leave in like 3 minutes because we're about to hit our 3-hour mark.
Yeah, I remember watching Acrimony at my other aunt's house back around like 4th of July, and I mean, oh my god, why am I blanking on her name? Who was the star of that movie? What is her name? Oh my god.
I'm looking now.
Looking it up.
Oh my god, what is her name?
Oh, I know who you're talking
about. Taraji Henson.
Yes, Taraji Henson.
Okay, she delivered an amazing performance. She was fantastic, but the entire story was so messy. Like revenge and like getting back together, like gaslighting, and yet she still like kind of ends up with him in the end, but then she kills this whole whirlwind romance, and I'm just like, oh my god, like I don't know if I could do this.
Tyler Perry, like his whole deal is painting a struggling ass black woman. It fucking makes me mad. I'm like, can we not have a story about a black woman that is empowering, that doesn't involve her having to struggle every step of the way to get there? Can we have a story where his dumb ass does not show up in fucking drag? Can we please? Like, I don't care. Like, stop showing up. Because, like, he is perpetuating the mystical Negro bullshit by dressing up as an old woman.
That is what Medea is, right?
Fuck you. Yes, that's exactly what Medea is. The mystical fucking Negro is like, that's where it is. It is Tyler Perry dressed up as an old woman being like, I got all this facts. And I'm like, fuck you, Tyler Perry. Fuck you and your bullshit. Because you know what? You know how many years of corporate like work I had to deal with creepy white ladies being like, did you watch the latest Tyler Perry? No, I didn't watch Tyler Perry, bitch. I don't watch it. He is so funny. He's so funny. I'm like, he's not funny. Get away from me.
No.
Get away from me, Susan. Get away from me, Karen. Get away from me, Bridget. Fuck off. Like that.
The amount of like white nonsense bullshit that you experience in offices, and people ask questions like that, and you're just like, fuck all the way off.
If I didn't like Tyler Perry before all of that, I hated him even more when it just became like all the conversation that I could have with the white ladies at my office. And I was just like, I didn't watch it. And they'd be like, and then they'd proceed to try to tell me about the movie. I'm like, bitch, I didn't watch it. Like, I don't think you understand what I'm saying.
God.
I did not watch it. I don't want you to tell me about it. I don't Tyler Perry. Leave me alone. This is not how we're going to relate. We're not going to relate on my blackness by the fact that you watch a fucking Tyler Perry movie. Get away from me. It's no different than if you watch Roots. Those movies aren't for me. They're for you. Like, get away from me. Like, all these black slave movies, The Help, Roots, Django Unchained, that shit is not for me. I already know. Stop. It has never been for us. Please stop.
Oh, Audra, I was gonna ask you, did you I know that you might have seen when I was talking about the like trashy reality TV segment of the stream that I did with Emily last week about Are You the One? Have you been able to like watch any of it?
I haven't, but I did watch. What did I just recently? I watched something, and I watched like something about the exes. I did watch that where people got to like have a second chance with an ex. It was pretty good. It was actually interesting and very intense. But yeah, I have not watched Are You the One? I was watching some really weird Indian one, like I guess, yeah, it was Indian, and that was a train wreck. It was
I think some of the cast members from Are You the One were on the X, or they did a really annoying one that I didn't end up watching called X on the Beach, where like the cast mates think that they're there for a regular dating show, and then they end up having to go through the whole show like trying to mend things with their exes. It seemed hella messy and like way too messy for me. So like I would recommend like going and watching through Oh, liquid lipstick. I would recommend. I think MTV.com still gives you a chance to like watch the last season, because the last season, the most recent one, is the one where they did like people who are sexually fluid, and I think that one was like the best one. I feel like there's like a good message there, because like I'm not gonna try to spoil it, but one of the cast members is non-binary, and he like, or their whole story arc is really, really good, and they bring a lot of attention to like the whole non-binary thing, and how it's not just like white, skinny, androgynous type of person when you think of someone who's non-binary. And like they go through some really awesome like personal development with the person who ends up being like their match, and it was a really good one. So I would recommend watching it. Obviously I feel like a show about people who are sexually fluid, it's kind of like it's mostly directed at like a heteronormative audience, because it's through a heteronormative lens. It's not like you have sexually fluid producers making a show about being sexually fluid. So it's a little different, but it's still really entertaining.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I think, no, Angela, you are correct. So that is the thing with a lot of stuff involving Black people and how Black people are represented. It gets sterilized, especially when it hits television. The way that it is done is not okay. I don't want to come off as like angry or whatever, but I am, because it does get very, very frustrating to constantly see Black people represented in very specific ways all the time. I'm either the friend who's like sitting there being like, yes, girl, do your thing. Sis. Da, da, da. And like, I'm never like the main character. I don't have a role. All I do is support my friend in their goofy endeavor. So it's just shit like that becomes very tired. And then the other narrative is that Black women are always struggling to have a good relationship. There's always just like strife and struggle and hardship, and her man's always cheating. I mean, you even look at a movie, I think it's called like Obsession. It's got Beyonce in it, which her acting is terrible. We're going to leave it alone.
She's not a good actress, but
that movie is a very much written as a perspective of what Black women's greatest fear is, which is a blonde, blue-eyed white woman. And the thing about, like, that's supposed to be our greatest fear, because Beyonce is with a very sexy Black man. He's dark-skinned. She's like, they're together. They have a child. Everything is like, and then this blonde, the white devil, like that's the only way, the white devil has come. Like, so she shows up, and that whole movie, first of all, the movie is terrible. If I were to do a review, like a quick one, is it escalates really quickly, and it doesn't make any fucking sense how crazy this bitch gets. Like, she's played by Ali Larter. She gets like fucking insane in like 2.3 seconds, and it doesn't make sense. The fact that he lies about the stuff that happens doesn't make sense either, because the shit that like goes on between him and crazy bitch is so small. Like, it's infinitesimal what this chick does for him to be lying. And then like the way that Beyonce reacts when she finds out about everything is like, baby, it's not a big deal. She's lying. And she's like, whatever, get out of my house. And I'm like, why? What's happening? Because what I'm telling you is like, at some point, T, I thought you were going to bed. But like, at some point in this movie, this bitch tried to hit on him. Like, she tried to like get nasty. Like, Ali Larter tries to get nasty with the husband in the bathroom at the Christmas party. All right. He shuts her down, goes home, doesn't tell Beyonce. Stupid move on his part, because he literally shut her down. Like, all he had to do was say like, yeah, this crazy bitch at work tried to get up on me. And I was like, no thanks. And she was like, okay, well, good night. Like, that's how it should have been. How it was is she didn't say, like, he didn't say anything. So then this crazy bitch gets in the car with him, like just hops into his car like some other day at work.
Yeah, I remember that
scene. Just like goes from normal to psycho in seconds. The like they were literally trying to make it be like Fatal Attraction, but it moved at such a pace that you did not understand like why she was so crazy so fast. And you're just like, bruh, like you need to talk to, like you need to open your mouth, because it was like within 30 minutes. I'm like, why wouldn't you just tell your wife? Tell your wife, because this bitch is crazy. Like now is the time to tell her that you ain't fucked around with her, but this bitch is crazy. Like I didn't fuck with her,
yeah,
but she crazy. And honestly, that would have made the movie better, because then it would have made it like that she was actively being crazy. But anyways,
yeah.
But it's shit like that where it's this constant idea of Black women being afraid of like white women taking their men. If you look at Get Out, because I'm like such a horror, like, by the way, in case you didn't know, I'm a horror fan. Also, suspense and thriller, it is horror. They just named it something different so they could give it Academy Awards. Yeah. Moving on, when you look at these types of movies, like you look at Get Out, which is happening now. Anyways, if you look at Get Out, one of the things that it does comment on that people miss is that there are a sector of Black men that find having a white woman a prize, right? So the thing about this movie is that it juxtaposes both sides thinking they have a prize. He thinks he has a prize. He's got the white woman. He's like, I won. I got a white woman. Yay. And she's like, I have the ultimate prize. I brought him home to my family to put him in the sunken place so they could have his like Black man body. So it's like these things, these issues are continuing on. And if the media doesn't get their shit together, like I believe somebody just posted that the TV execs, all white people, were discussing diversity in their programming. What the fuck?
Of course they were.
There's not a diverse person sitting there. Like, how are there a bunch of white people going to sit and say, like, we're discussing diversity? With who? With who?
Rich and clueless.
Like, you're all... I don't want to hurt your feelings, but like I could discuss diversity better, right? I have a diversity panel right the fuck
hurt
here.
Their feelings. Hurt their feelings.
I'm just like, it's like upset because I'm like, this is more diverse, the three of us here, than their whole 12-person little panel. Like that, what does that say?
And they're getting paid like probably 10 times I would get paid in a good year.
Oh,
ever.
not
like,
10.
If for one meeting.
Not
one
10,
meeting.
Sweetie.
No, like 100,000.
Yes.
I'm just saying for the one meeting, the amount of time they're there for one meeting. It's like, oh, that's 5 years of my work in your one meeting. Enjoy that.
Girl, it's worse. Like when you really look, oh God, it's so worse. Like when I look at
I'm like, oh, no.
I'm like, how much do they get paid for that meeting? Oh, an entire year's salary? Okay, great. Thank you.
Exactly.
Yes, it's like when they all show up to be like, we're here to talk about women's reproductive rights, and it's all white men. And we're like, oh, well, tell us about our reproductive.
All the white men are making the rules on how my reproduction system works. Cool.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's such a weird deal, and that's why I'll leave us on this note, because Alex, if you guys do not follow her on Instagram, I don't know what you're doing. Like, honestly, I really don't know what you're doing. You're making like a whole ass mess of your life if you're not following her on Instagram, because her looks are gorgeous and they're not edited, and it's just beautiful, and she's beautiful, and she has like gorgeous little fucking sunlight swatches. Y'all, you thought I didn't see. You thought I do see. So then if you are not subscribed to Emily's channel, I also do not know what you are doing with your life, because you guys, if you want to see literally any palette in the world that she wants to do, she can fucking dupe it. She will dupe it. She will show you all the glory and wonders of single shadows, because guess what? This bitch is buying single shadows now, and I was afraid to. This bitch is having a good time trying to make my own palettes, and that's because of that lady over there. I have to like move my fingers the opposite way. Yeah. She's fabulous. She's wonderful. So please make sure that if you have not yet, you are hanging out with my two fabulous friends, because they're gorgeous and they're beautiful, not just on the outside, but on the inside. They're actually genuinely good people. And you guys know I would not have anybody on my channel who was like a giant piece of shit. Like, I just wouldn't. That's not like if you're trash, I don't want you here. I only want the best people and the good people with good hearts, good minds, good souls, and fabulous slaying makeup looks. So you guys, thank you so much for hanging out for 3 hours.
I'm just gonna show this off since Yolanda mentioned it.
Yes.
That's my Pat McGrath Divine Rose to Dupe Palette.
Yes.
I have a whole video up on it that looks way better than this potato lighting.
And it's so peaceful.
Oh, Audra, I appreciate you and I love you and thank you for always making it a great week. I just have to repay the love because you're so sweet.
I don't even know how I do that. That was weird. I'm like, oh.
You just like PR person for the two of us. I'm like, okay, keep going.
Well, listen, I mean, y'all, like this, you guys, this is courtesy of like listening to my friends tell me that I like give me the confidence to feel like I can do what I want to do. This is courtesy of being able to look at other people who are just out there doing looks and they're not sitting there putting like 8,000 filters and fixing the photo to the point where it seems unrealistic. So like, that is why I love these two ladies, because they give me confidence, whether they know it or not, to like fuck around with my makeup, with my eyeshadow, and try shit that I normally wouldn't have. So for that, I thank you.
Well, I wanted to add one last note. Anyone that's in here or watching the replay, if there's a topic you would like us to talk about, feel free to tweet at us, DM us. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter. I'm not saying we're going to do every single thing, but like we're open to taking ideas because as you see, the chat just kind of.
Shanna, I'm so glad you were here, though. You're wonderful to have in the chat. I'm glad you were here. If you have not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to all of us.
Yes.
And thumbs up the video if you haven't. Share it with your friends.
Yes, please.
Yes. Thank you so much, Audra, for having me. I really, really appreciate it. I feel like, oh my God, like 5 for 5. It's a thing. It's happening. And I got to be here for it. And we got to talk about so much stuff. And it was such a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me on your channel.
Absolutely wonderful. As soon as she said something, I was like, yeah, I'd love to have Alex on. You're fucking hilarious. Like, yes. All right, guys. You guys have a great night. And thank you all.
Good night, everybody.
Night, y'all.
Good night.
Night.
Bye.